guys.
Thank you. Wow!
Hell yeah. Great job, man.
And we got a crash. Cars spinning left and right.
Buddy, let her rip. Rain like hell, baby. Come on. Oh my God, guys. Yes. Yes. Unbelievable. You guys are the best. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, what a year.
Welcome to the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Darian, your face just shocked to be here. We've got a packed show. I am your host for this week's episode, Eric Estep, joined as always by our usual panel. We've got Daniel Baldwin, aka Danny B Talks below me. Down diagonally, we've got the Iceberg. I like how you're the only one who has your YouTube username on your Zoom profile, Jarrett, also known as Jarrett Lundberg. And then to my, well, I guess stage left, my right, we have Black Flags Matter, aka Darian Gilliam. A lot of AKAs. We also have a lot to talk about tonight. We believe it or not, it has been a packed. Yeah, honestly, I was kind of sleepy. I might end it now, but no. Jam-packed show. We got the Kyle Busch to RCR news. Brandon Jones confirmed today he's switching teams as well. The 2023 schedule for all three series came out today, and I'm sure we'll come up with some other things to talk about. But before we get to all that, gentlemen. Y'all are muted. My bad, Darian. You were muted.
You gave many people the wish they've all had.
Wow.
No.
They wish they had my button.
So
right
I
now.
was the only one that was muted.
Oh, this was out of the groove with guests.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
well,
Well,
they know
hello,
your
guys.
names.
Yeah,
My
they
bad
know.
on that. I have too many buttons in front of me.
It's
Where was
all
I?
good.
That completely ruined my train of thought. I take great pride in doing this show without like needing an editor, because like when I do Out of the Groove, I edit the crap out of that, and I'm always like in the car driving home on a Sunday or on a Wednesday afternoon thinking, okay, here's how I'm going to intro the show. It's going to be planned out. I'm going to nail every beat, every point. And this completely ruined it. I totally blew it this week.
It's
so
all good. But no, but what I said earlier was, do we have anything to talk about actually? Is there actually anything new? No.
there's quite a bit. Yes. And they heard what I said. So they know what what's coming up later in the show. We're going to start though with Kansas. We're going to start with Bubba Wallace's big win. Second straight week, a driver not in the playoffs wins a playoff race. Now the 45 is in the Owners Championship. They're locked into the second round, but I want to start with Jarrett because he was the one among us who was at Kansas Speedway this weekend. Jarrett, first off, how was the experience? Did you enjoy the race? Did you have a good time? And second of all, how impressed are you with Bubba Wallace getting a second career win?
So for the race itself being there, anytime you go to a race, it's fun. But this one was really fun because it's the one that me and my dad always go to, just the two of us. So I basically was like fully in fan mode. And I noticed the crowd was a lot better this time around
Than the spring for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like when I went back and looked at some of the footage I had from it, there was like the entire bottom was completely full, and the section I was in was really full. One cool thing, so I'm wearing my Vikings shirt because kicked the crap out of the Packers, and that's always good. We had three Viking fans, and two Viking in front of us and two behind us. And Danny, you'll like this. The one person that was with the Viking fans in front of us was a Titans fan. So I was in like
Wow.
friendly territory here.
That's cool.
Well, hey, at least your team won. None of us can say that about ours.
Aw.
Hey, but my team didn't
Hey,
lose.
tied. They tied.
You lost. You lost. You
No,
still lost.
no. It's
It's
a
a
different.
tie.
It is a different
Tie.
column. We are in the tie
Okay,
column.
but you didn't win either.
God, I was at
Yeah.
the grocery store yesterday and I walked past a copy of the Houston Chronicle, and on the front page it had a bunch of depressed Texans fans. It just said a new way to not win. I was like, gosh
Yeah.
dang.
But as for how impressed I was with Bubba Wallace, he and Christopher Bell were the only two all day that I can remember never falling out of the top 5 or 6. Those two were the two best cars the entire day if you look at overall at the race itself. So I wasn't really surprised that Bubba was up front the way he was. We'll talk about probably in a little bit. I was actually really surprised that the 48 and the 24 were so good compared to the 5 and the 9, who are usually pretty good both this time of the year and at Kansas. But overall, like we all, we talked about it before, we all knew Bubba was going to be fast this week, but I don't think any of us thought he was going to be drive up to the front and win the race on his own fast, which was really impressive to see. And I saw this and I wanted to bring it up. Bubba Wallace in the last 10 races has the best average finish in NASCAR right now. So I had said previous to this week, I'm like, Bubba fans, this is your chance. You said he should have won Kansas in the spring if something didn't happen. He proved that he should have. I mean, he ran well enough. He was lightning fast out there.
I regret not picking him in the pick series because I was kind of thinking about it, but I just didn't know if I could quite commit to it.
We all picked him in a way, though.
Yeah, we all picked him as our dark horse pick. So I think we can pat ourselves on the shoulder for that. I think even the chat picked him as well.
Yeah,
so it was
they did
a clean sweep across the board. Darian, Bubba Wallace, 18th different winner through the first 28 races. What'd you make of his, especially his performance on that final run, that long green flag run to finish?
Man, isn't it amazing to have all this parity back? This early 2000s and / 2011 parity, man. 18 different winners. First time that's happened since 2011 and 2002. And we are just one new winner away from tying the all-time record of 19 different winners in a season that took place in 2001. The parity is back. The next gen is definitely not perfect, but it's very competitive this year too. And it's great to see these smaller teams taking on the bigger teams. But, speaking of bigger teams too, but Christopher Bell, Jarrett, didn't you pick Christopher Bell as your, to be one of your final 4 picks?
He's my championship pick.
Yeah. So, and you know what? I thought that was a little nuts at the time, but now looking at it, it's not so crazy because he is currently the only driver to lock himself into the next round on points alone. And he and Bubba Wallace were up front. They were running up front consistently. And honestly, like, I know Bubba held the lead for a while there, but I was like, oh, Bells keeps closing in there. Hey, he might close it out. But hey, you know what? Bubba Wallace, he gets his second career win. He is now the winningest African-American driver in the NASCAR Cup Series. Only 2 wins, but hey, still he has the most. So hey, Wendell Scott held that record for a long time, and now Bubba Wallace gets to. But this is a marquee win Bubba Wallace needed to, shut up some of these doubters, these haters and stuff. He's not the greatest driver in the world. I don't consider him a championship driver. I've said that many, many times. Honestly, like, if you were to poll most fans and ask fans, like, if you were to poll most fans and ask them how many career wins do you think Bubba Wallace will have, once he retires, I think most would say, a peak of 10, 10 or below. And I say, around there, kind of a Clint Boyer style career. But
yeah, unless he comes into his own at some point, I kind of see him being similar to like a Jamie McMurray, Clint Boyer type.
Yeah, exactly. So, I still think his best days are ahead of him though, but he needed a win on a non-super speedway and in a full race. And he finally got that, man. Him and Booty Barker, man, like, they have just been on it. And like you said, Jared, the best average finish for the last 10 races, man, that pit crew change was a huge difference. I mean, if you can just imagine if they had that same pit crew to start off the season where he would be, but
might have won the first Kansas race.
Yeah, maybe so.
Had Booty Barker, had he ever won as a crew chief?
He'd won Talladega last year with Bubba.
Yeah,
that was his first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he wasn't that one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
but before Bubba, he had never won before, right?
I don't think so. But no, that race was, for the most part, it was kind of meh. It had its moments at times though, but like obviously towards the end, Bubba Wallace was running away with it.
I thought it was pretty good, honestly, but that's because I was able to look through the whole pack, and
there
was always side-by-side racing somewhere in the field.
The restarts were awesome. Though.
Yeah, Chastain making it 4 wide at one point into 3 and 4. Like, Chastain gonna Chastain.
And pretty cool. But yeah, no, 18th different winner too, man. Let's tie the record, man. This is awesome. This is a lot of fun.
Let's go for it. Bubba Wallace fans in the chat are celebrating. We'll get to the most super chats at the top of the hour, but Shorty, PJM, we see them in the chat quite often. Already been screaming this all night, but Bubba, my favorite, and a lot of celebratory emojis. So also shouting out Will Power winning the IndyCar championship. So
I've seen Shorty in the chat for a while. He's a big Bubba fan, big Blaney fan, so I'm sure he was very happy for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Toyota really set the pace, though, when it was all said and done. I was impressed, and we'll talk about your guy a little bit, Danny, in a moment. But Bowman ran top 5. Didn't he finish? Did he finish 4th?
He finished 4th. He was able to get around Byron there at the end, and just all around, he didn't have the long-term speed he needed, but that was just the best race that the 48 car had ran all season. And it was refreshing to see after such a honestly crap summer that the 48 went through, for them to come into this playoffs and actually look good. A lot of people was writing them out in this round, and Granted, Bristol is not that good for Bowman. I've seen him crash there plenty of times, especially in a night race. But he's got a 30-point gap right now. That's a big deal going into Bristol. 30 points at Bristol is a big deal. And if he could even just get a top 20, top 15 run, stay out of trouble, I think he's all right.
That's great. Yeah, and I do want to talk about William Byron again in a moment, but I was going to say Toyota ended up with 4 in the top 5. So they backed up their 6 in the top 10 here at Kansas in the spring with another dominant showing. Truex snuck in the top 5 there at the very end. We had one other super chat I want to mention. Chris Furrow just sent a $23.11 super chat and asked, does Chase Elliott sweep the concrete this year? He's already won at Dover, and he won Nashville, didn't he?
He did win Nashville.
Yes,
so
he did.
He could win Bristol. We'll talk about Bristol at the end of the show, but we just wanted to highlight that super chat because I thought it was a funny amount. Appreciate the support.
But really quick, Eric, you said how many Toyotas finished inside the top 5? 4 of the 5. All right, and then
Hamlin was charging.
Who was the odd man out though of those Toyotas?
We'll talk about him a little bit. Don't worry. We'll get to Kyle. He's a story. We'll get to him a little bit in just one. Actually, I want to get to him in a second when we read the playoff standings because that's when things really get alarming. But Danny just talked about Alex Bowman showing out. I also want to give William Byron a bit of credit because, like his teammate Bowman, hadn't shown really anything over the summer. First 2 races of the playoffs, back-to-back top 10s, led laps. Once again, a really solid run, and he finds himself in a really, really good point situation. Before we talk about Kevin Harvick, Tyler Reddick, Kyle Busch, some of the guys who had big issues, I do want to run through the playoff points real fast, if you'll indulge me for just a moment.
Go for it.
Christopher Bell, plus 58, the only guy locked in through this first round. William Byron, plus 48. Third is Denny Hamlin, plus 47. Then Joey Logano, plus 40. Ryan Blaney is plus 36. In 6th is Alex Bowman, plus 30. Chase Elliott, the regular season champ, is 7th, plus 28. Then Kyle Larson, plus 27. Ross Chastain is plus 26. Then a huge drop-off when we get to 10th place, Daniel Suarez. He is only plus 6. Then Tyler Reddick, plus 2. Austin Cindric, plus 2. Kyle Busch, the first driver out, minus 2. Austin Dillon, minus 3, actually made up a point this weekend. Chase Briscoe's minus 9. And in 16th, rounding out the playoff field, is Kevin Harvick at minus 35. Darian, since you started talking about Kyle Busch, we'll go ahead and start off with Busch. He seemed to have as much speed as many of his Toyota teammates, but that late race spin caused him to go a lap down. Couldn't really recover, finished 26th. How do you feel about Busch's chances with one race to go?
Him and his crew chief, they just haven't really been meshing this year, man. And we heard some of that on the radio over the weekend. Yes, they showed some flashes of speed, but they can just never sustain it, especially in these playoffs. Like the Darlington race pretty much is like set the tone so far. Now we're heading to Bristol this weekend. So let's see if he can rewrite the ship. He's only minus 2 below the cut line. So not totally writing him off. There's still some time. But as far as the drivers above the cut line, specifically in that, 6 to plus 6 to plus 2 point range. What is up with Tyler Reddick and leading races and then him just blowing a tire all of a sudden and ruining his day?
The
poor guy.
Father.
Yeah. I was thinking of your dad too. I was thinking of him.
My dad is like I didn't realize how much Reddick stuff my dad has. He had 2 different Reddick hats. He has 4 t-shirts he wore on the 4 days we were there. And he's like, oh my God, this is awesome. And then because a few cars looked like Reddick's. And so we saw a car on the wall and he's like, what's the caution for? And I'm like, there's Reddick's in the wall. He goes, who's in the wall? I'm like, Reddick. He goes, are you effing serious? Come on. Because there's been a few times where my dad's been at a race, Reddick is leading and he hits the wall and crashes out.
That's heartbreaking.
I felt so bad for him.
That's a shame.
Just pushing the air pressures perhaps a little too much. We saw Reddick, I think, was one of the drivers with the tire issue in the spring race. We had several drivers cut, I think, left rears. This week, it was 2 or 3 drivers cutting right rears. Unfortunately, Reddick was one of them, but he is now plus 2. Danny, do you feel if you're Tyler Reddick, we'll kind of shift gears over to him for a moment. Do you feel confident that he gets through this first round, or are you really, really worried at Bristol?
I think he can get through Bristol. It's just avoiding everyone else's problems. I feel like he is a capable driver to run well at Bristol. I think, especially if we see a multi-group kind of track, him being his dirt background, he can do good if it's up on the high line, or he can do good if it's, low line, bump and run kind of track. We might see old style Bristol, depending on how the shifting situation is. I think that's been the biggest what if going into this weekend, because we haven't seen next gen at true Bristol yet. We've only seen it at dirt Bristol so far. So who knows how the track's even going to race. So it's just going to depend really if he can stay out of everyone else's problems or is Goodyear tires problems.
I'm bouncing around a little bit, but I do want to get back to Kyle Busch as well for a moment, because I want to ask you guys, does it feel like Kyle Busch is just spinning out on all on his own more often than usual this year? During the race, I did a couple quick Google and YouTube searches, and I could find 8 examples, arguably 7, this year where he just wiped out all on his own. And I feel like that's high. I don't know if you guys feel that way. I don't know what's normal. Obviously, you want to be pushing the envelope. That means he's giving it all she's got, but this feels like more mistakes than we're used to seeing out of Kyle Busch. So I don't know. I guess, Jared, are you surprised that he's -2 at this point, or do you feel confident because Bristol is next?
I'll cover the first one. Am I surprised? No, just because he's been so inconsistent. And yeah, he had like a top 10 or 2 right before the playoffs. But when you look at the wider scale of how he's done this year, he's basically running about how he should. He had the problems at Darlington with the engine issue. He spun out on his own. I'll tell you, like, he blew that tire right in front of me because I was sitting right near the restart zone. It was like a bomb went off. Like, just that it like went through your chest. It was that loud. But going into Bristol, am I confident in him? No. I mean, he's had races, earlier this year, like, I don't have him on me, but I mean, he has not run as fast as he usually would at Richmond, which is one of, if not his best tracks. I'm not confident about how he can do at Bristol, just because while I think Kyle Busch has the talent and skill and ability and all that to do it, this year has been so chaotic that I can't trust somebody else in the field isn't going to crash him. I can't trust that with 100 to go, Ross Chastain isn't going to try and win it from the 4th row. Like, something could happen to him very easily. And Bristol, outside of, I'd say Talladega, is the last place I would want to have to rely on either A, winning, or B, outscoring a lot of these guys who are pretty good. I mean, Kevin Harvick last year could have easily won this race. Yeah. And if he wins this, you're battling not only Austin Cindric, but also Daniel Suarez, who's been really fast, and the guy we just talked about, Tyler Reddick, who is pretty fast wherever we go. It's just a matter of finishing out.
I want to create like a fantasy situation for a moment. Let's say Kyle Busch doesn't get caught up in any wrecks. Say he makes it to the finish without really a notable scratch on his car. Darian, does he make the play, or does he advance to the next round?
Yeah, I don't think he wins the race. I say maybe, top 5, at least a top 10. I mean, it's Bristol, baby. That's his track. You know what I mean? But I mean, yeah, but I understand Jared's point though. He's been extremely very inconsistent this season. So yeah, I can see him being a little apprehensive about, thinking he'll make the playoffs and stuff. But yeah, we'll just have to see how it unfolds this week.
Jared, I know there's a lot of things that can go wrong, but do you think he'll have, and I know we're going to get into picks later, but I do want to discuss this right now because it's hard not to talk about the points without looking towards the future. If he doesn't have any like physical issues, does Busch make it to the next round?
I'm gonna be the outlier here. I'm gonna say no.
Oh. All right.
So I have the results from last year up, and I know it's not exactly a 1-to-1 comparison here, but I think it is comparable enough. The 2 team last year, which he's going to have to go against, with Keselowski last year, finished 6th. I think Cindric right now is just as good as Keselowski was last year at this point. He's been more consistent later in the season. Kevin Harvick competed for a win last year. He could easily win. Okay. Tyler Reddick, while not racing too well last season, put on a hard charge at the end in what was one of his worst performing races of the season. Austin Dillon has shown before that he can have different, just random races like a Bristol where he'll run really fast. And then Daniel Suarez, I think out of any of these guys, 10th on down, has been the fastest one in the playoffs so far. Dang. And consistently finishing. So I'm not confident whatsoever in Kyle Busch, and I don't see why, other than his history at Bristol for the most part, why everyone really would be so confident in him, seeing how he's done this year.
I get that. Also, it's a hell of a history, though. 8 wins. I mean, it's tough. But
he won Dirt Bristol this year, but it's Dirt
Bristol. You brought some receipts. You had some actual data to back up your bold claim. I'll give you that. He
also finished 21st in this race, a lap down last year.
Yeah, but I'm saying, if without issue, let's say he doesn't have. Well, no, it wasn't last year. Like a pit road issue. Wasn't last year? Didn't he have an issue on pit road? Oh, I didn't think about that. I didn't account for that.
Now we did finish second in 2020 in this race.
Okay.
So I will say that. Like, I think he very well could, but I don't trust him enough this year, and I don't trust his luck enough to say he will.
But
I get it. Why would you?
This is one of his best tracks, though.
Yeah,
I
what do you
mean,
think, Danny? What do you think? Will he make it?
I'm going to go with him in this case. I think getting this announcement out of the way, that's been a huge distraction over the last few weeks. Now this is finally over and done with. They can move on. You know, I think he can actually put together a good race and be fine going through this one. Because honestly, if you're asking me to choose between Austin Cindric and Kyle Busch at Bristol for a 2-point gap, I'm going to go Kyle Busch every time on that.
He just cannot make any more mental errors. He can't, man. I mean, like you said, 7 or 8 spinouts this season, all of his own doing.
I don't mean to interrupt you. He's made mental mistakes at this track in recent years when he dumped when he got into the back of, was it Truex? He spun out at Bristol on accident.
Let's not forget that, because I was just talking about this on Twitter the other day, the 2018 night race. The man got into 3 wrecks. It took 3 wrecks to finally get him to stop contending for the win at that one.
But this isn't 2018 Kyle Busch. This is 2022 Kyle Busch. Looking at
this is still Kyle Busch in his Bristol playground.
Well, that playground last year, the 2 team outscored him in stage points as well, and in finishing.
Not the stages.
So, I'm just saying that
it's a good debate. I didn't expect will Kyle Busch do well at Bristol to be a good debate, but it actually is. I think it's a fair one.
It just speaks to how he's been performing this year. I mean,
it's just up and down, like you said, inconsistent.
No matter the year, even 2020 was a bad year, and he nearly won that one. So I don't know. I would feel like a fool to bet against Kyle Busch going into this one.
I do understand why he's very apprehensive about picking him and stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Kyle Busch advancing to the next round. Barely though. He'll barely.
I'll also bring this up. The some of the road courses that were Kyle Busch and Truex's playground as Toyota's last year, they ran awful at. Like, Toyota itself has not been consistent enough to bet on a regular basis.
That's true.
I'm not saying that it's impossible or even unlikely that he makes it. I think it is. I think it could be very likely. What I'm saying is I don't think it's a shoo-in like everyone thinks it is.
That's fair.
No.
As Rowdy18 Diecast just said with the super chat, he has a Kyle Busch profile picture. This year has been pain. So that tells you all you need to know about how Kyle Busch.
I've been there. We've been there before. Well,
again, as us Dell Junior fans are saying, if your pain year is you being in the playoffs and with a win, that's so terrible.
So bad. But speaking of pain, though, can we talk about Kevin Harvick?
Yeah, I do want to touch on Kevin Harvick real quick. We saved him for last because he is in last place in the points after, I believe, a last place finish, right? First off, let's talk about the incident. So the incident, it's early in the race. They're racing 3 and 4 wide on a restart. You see Ross Chastain and Bubba holding each other tight. They both kind of slide up in front of him. Harvick gets caught in their dirty air and wipes out, spins out, hits the outside wall, breaks something. He's out of the race. I don't know. Look, because people I saw on social media are going to, if Ross Chastain breathes near a crash, people are going to blame him. Do you guys think this adds Harvick to the list of drivers who are out for Ross Chastain?
Yes.
You think so?
I think it does. I think this weekend too.
Harvick did less. Harvick fought on pit road for less last year.
Yeah. Look, man. Hey, again, we've spoken on Ross Chastain so many times this year. This is who he is. Even Bubba Wallace in his little, Race Hub interview was like, and Ross Chastain does not lift. He was like analyzing the accident. It's like, yep, Ross Chastain simply doesn't lift. And, Harvick, I mean, he was a guy after his 2 wins that I thought, I'm like, okay, this isn't 2020 Kevin Harvick where he's winning, 8 or 9 races a season. But hey, if he somehow, keeps his nose clean, he could be a threat. I mean, look at Darlington. He has the fire issue. And then all of a sudden, Kansas, it's like, I mean, like, it's definitely not Kevin Harvick. It's not 2020 Kevin Harvick, but I definitely expected a whole lot more from that team. Really, Storehouse Racing as a whole has just struggled in the first round so far. They're both in the final in the 15th
bottom.
And 16th positions. Yeah.
Ross Crashtain in the chat just said, "Why do you think I named my account what I did?" I don't know. Yeah, Ross, Bubba being aggressive, Ross especially. I don't know. I don't know if Harvick's is going to hold a grudge over Chastain for that.
I think so.
I don't know that he will. I'm with Jarrett though. He did get angry at in my opinion, less last year at this race. So,
hey, Ross
it's possible.
Chastain's not locked in yet. So Ross, be on the lookout, man. I'm just saying.
It is going to be interesting. Harvick, as we've mentioned multiple times, almost won this race last year. He's not out of it. He's minus 35, not pointing his way in by any means, but he could win.
I will say, we sit, talking about Kyle Busch versus the rest. And I'm thinking this now with it being Bristol this week, we probably should include Ross Chastain in that bubble cutoff line, just because if you are going to pay somebody back, this is the place.
It's perfect. We only get one concrete Bristol race a year now. This is the perfect time.
And unlike Martinsville, you can really easily, especially at the start of the race when they're on the bottom and you have a lot further to go into the wall, you can junk a guy a lot quicker at this race than just about any other race if you wanted to take them out. And whether it's fair or not, there are a lot of drivers out there. I mean, Denny Hamlin's safe right now, and if he doesn't think his revenge was exacted enough because of the DQ, then he could exact it here.
Wait,
really early on.
Remember, didn't Christopher Bell, didn't he kind of blame Chastain for the whole Michigan ordeal too?
Who hasn't blamed Chastain?
That's what I'm saying.
Eric
a
said.
lot of drivers are licking their chops right now.
I swear, people are blaming Chastain for crashing like Terry Labonte back in the 90s at this point. It is fun to watch fans go nuts about it. I personally want to see Chastain leading with a couple laps to go on a restart, just because I know hilarity will ensue.
I think the only way he gets taken out this weekend is if it's racing for something meaningful late. I think too many of the drivers that are on his list, guys like Bell, Hamlin, basically all of JGR, really the only driver who I think might just go out and pay him back is Truex. But I don't know. I just don't see that. Truex doesn't seem like that guy to me. I know we've said that about Matt Kenseth and others in the past, but Truex doesn't strike me as that guy. Because if you're Denny Hamlin, you're plus 47 at this point, you're in a good spot. Yeah, you hate what happened back in the year at Gateway and at Atlanta. You hate all that. But right now, does it really matter? He's focused forward. He's got a chance at a championship. Why make an enemy in these final 7 or 8 races if you don't really have to? The only way I think someone pays him back is if either A, they've wrecked out themselves. Like if Kyle Busch gets a bunch of damage and is 3 laps down, he might give Chastain a hard time at some point. Sure, that might happen. Or I don't know. I just don't see that happen. Or if it's racing for the win, because I just think there's too much to lose. There's too much on the line to spark a controversy here. Maybe you just don't think Ross Chastain will pay you back. Chastain, if he gets wrecked, he might just tuck his tail between his legs and say, "Oh well, I guess I had it coming." Yeah, big if. Well, that's going to do it for the Kansas Cup race. We'll touch on the Xfinity. Actually, we'll go to the poll in just a moment, so we actually have to hear what you guys think. But real quick, we always touch on the TV ratings. This week's race went up against the opening weekend for the NFL, just like last year when I think this race was it Richmond this last year or Dover? Yep. It was Richmond, right? Yep.
It was Richmond.
Yeah, just like last year's Richmond race, not great numbers. 1.1 rating, 1.878 million viewers. That's down 13% ratings from Kansas last year and 11% in viewership from Kansas. But again, it was a slightly different weekend last year. 18% of the audience was in that key demographic, 18 to 49-year-olds. However, it was up 3% in rating and up 5% in viewership from this same weekend last year, which was Richmond. Was that a Saturday night race though, Jarrett?
Yes.
So yes, that jades the numbers just a little bit there. It did lose out to F1 in the key demo. They had about 60,000 more viewers in that 18 to 49 range. It still won the motorsports weekend at least. But it was up 20% in the key demo from the same weekend last year when it was Richmond. So that's surprising that. I guess that's not surprising. I guess 18 to 49-year-olds are more likely to be out partying on a Saturday night and not home watching NASCAR. I guess that makes sense. Another excuse, because we love making excuses when the ratings are good and bad. Not only were they going up against the NFL, but the Cup Series was also going up against the IndyCar championship, right, the finale. And so that also likely hurt NBC continuing to schedule their 2 main motorsports properties up against each other. Questionable at the very least. But sorry, I didn't mean to get too far ahead of myself. We do have to now go to the famous iceberg poll. I should let Darian say it. It's his line.
Oh, yes, that's right. I thought you were going to do my job for me. Thank you, Eric. The poll, the famous iceberg poll on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast.
Just going back to that note on the ratings real quick. No one's too surprised at that number. I mean,
I was opening day.
Yeah. I was at the Titans game and I was watching the race on my phone. So
no, sorry, Danny. We had something to eat afterwards though. That was fun.
Well, I asked everybody, what did you think of the 2022 Hollywood Casino 400? and it was pretty positive, not as positive as some of the other 1.5 miles this year. But 42% said it was a great race, 35% said it was good, 13% said average, 4% said below average, and 6% said it was bad. So out of the about 13,500 votes, 77% net positive versus 10% net negative. All right, positive, negative, or meme. Tenny delivers.
Oh, meme. Easily.
I've literally been waiting since this comment was posted, knowing it's on Eric's channel this week, to say this one. Imagine being that guy, having Tyler Reddick as your championship pick after this weekend. Can't be me.
He's +2.
I saw that and immediately was like, ding, thank you, Denny delivered.
I was your dad, but on my couch. Oh, lone tire, are you kidding me? Yeah, he'll get him back. He'll figure it out. Just got to rein it in just a tad.
To be fair, though, I feel like the problems he has had has been outside of his control. So
yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Looking at some of these comments here. Oh, I accidentally popped something up out of the way. Looking at these comments here, though, top one is from SMCS Racing Network, who says these playoffs have been crazy. I can't wait to see what happens next. Pretty true.
Yeah.
John Smith says plenty of comers and goers, lots of on-track passing, and just a solid race overall. 8 out of 10.
Nice.
Evan Nekula brings this up. First time since 2011, we've had 18 winners in a season, just one away from the all-time record.
Yes.
Birdie says, great to see 2 Petty numbers winning back-to-back. Richard Petty's 43 last week and Adam Petty's 45 this week.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Let's see. There's a lot of people talking about the opening week of the NFL, which I feel like even for like poll standards is higher than usual. It seems like that's really.
Hey, football's back, baby. Football's back.
Football's king in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. This one says the chat has picked Chase Elliott to win the race 8 times out of the last 28 races so far, 29% of races. The next 2 favorite picks of the chat are Ryan Blaney 5 times at 18% and Kyle Larson 4 times at 14%.
He kept track. He had the analytics and
interesting.
everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the chat is picking a lot of these guys who have won some, but not that many. And yet somehow they're still very close to Eric in the points.
Yeah, they picked Chase Elliott and Larson are like the 2 most winningest drivers this year.
Yeah, true. But remember, they also picked Eric Almirola as well. We don't talk about that.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of people are congratulating Bubba and are pretty happy. A lot of people think it's cool, which, by the way, I did want to ask, is this the first time that a number but not the same driver have swept a track in a season?
I saw something that like this is the first time since like
it happened. I
in the
can't remember who it
50s.
was. Yeah, there was. I saw the tweet that said there was one other time.
Did Sterling Marlin win Charlotte the same year McMurray did?
I think it was like John Andretti.
No, Marlin won it in 2001, and then McMurray won it in 2010.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
A lot of people in the chat are saying no. Some are saying since 1970. A lot of 1972.
Oh.
So
72
like
then.
Foyt and Pearson.
Oh,
is what
yes,
they're
yes.
saying.
That was
Hey,
it. That was it.
1972.
Jarrett, I haven't really heard anyone talk about this. I'm going to ask you, what was the fan reaction in person for that?
What was that like?
Actually pretty positive. A lot of people, I will say this, that were around me that weren't really big Bubba fans were like, you know what? You actually won a real one this time. And I'm like, that's about as positive, like just hearing them through the aisles and stuff.
Take the wins when you get them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
small victories.
it was a mixed reaction, but he wasn't heavily booed compared to like Denny.
It didn't sound like it. Yeah.
No.
I mean, actually, they probably didn't show it on TV, but there was a fan super excited that tried to run up to the fence to climb it, and they had to arrest him because he was so excited. Like, he was like cheering and stuff when Bubba came and doing his burnout.
My biggest fear was that when this happened, we would see them need a reason to stop doing track interviews. So I'm glad to know that I was not correct on that.
Yeah,
that was when I was at Talladega last year. So I've been at both of Bubba's Cup wins.
I put that in the chat. I was like, yeah, that's crazy.
Well, you go to like half the races a year. Jared.
Yeah,
Odds were
true.
good.
Yeah.
Hey, I only did the ones I'm planning to do combined. I'll only have gone to 8 instead of 13 like last year.
You've only been to like 7. How many races have you been to this year?
6, I think, or 7 so far,
I
somewhere
didn't
in there.
realize. I knew last year you went to like half of them. I thought you were close this year. Dang.
The
think-
economy's rough, man.
The gas
Yeah.
prices ain't helping anything. Yeah.
I think this
Nah.
weekend will be number 8 for me.
Yes, and also for
Nice.
me, I'm not done yet. So stay tuned for that, though. I'll be going as a fan to one of these playoff races.
I feel like counting Speed Week and just having only one with the Daytona 500, though, it's like that's probably why it feels more inflated.
You can call it
'cause-
1.5. That one counts. That's a lot.
I went to the duels.
Yeah,
You got to count every Xfinity and truck race you've been to as well. So
true.
Somebody get Denny Delivers to a race. He said he's been to 0 this year.
Oh
No.
no!
Go to
Oh,
Talladega.
man. Let's bring him to Phoenix so he can watch Denny Hamlin break his heart again.
Jeez, I know that here's a guy who goes to a bunch of them. Peter Strada said Bristol will be Cup race number 14 for me this year.
Hey, yeah, him and Noah
Nice.
Lewis. They've been to a lot of races covering them.
Hustling to races.
Good job, guys.
awesome stuff.
Okay, so I'm just double checking to make sure that I can read the bottom ones. And I mean, I certain words I'll just let everyone know are always blocked on my channel. So
Yeah.
like nothing
And
that bad will pop
For good
up on 'em.
reasons. For good reasons.
I'll be completely honest. Like you never know how many horrible things you've heard or understand or words you know in life until you go and find your banned words list on your YouTube channel and you're like, damn.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, I'm gonna some of these are bait. Oh man. Some of these are bait. I'm
Take it.
gonna ignore one of them because it's just not good.
Enough
One of them said on the bottom ones, one of them says not a real win. Okay. One says, well, this race sucked, plain and simple. Got enough cautions at the beginning to make it annoying and none at the end to make it boring. 2 out of 10, waste of my time.
Oof.
We got one that says no talent required to win in Cup anymore, seeing how 4 of the top 5 were JGR Toyotas. Is this F1?
Oh my gosh.
Boy, you should have watched 2018.
Yeah, and also in F1, Verstappen's like, I think he's gonna clinch the championship in the next race. I think they have a few more races then.
You got Andrew Meyer, who does his weekly ranking of every race. And I'm trying Kansas 2 is 16 out of 32.
Okay, that's about where
Okay.
I would put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd put that there.
That's fair.
And then
We've had a lot of good races. So like mid pack on that is still really good.
Mhm.
yeah, I mean it's between Nashville and the second Atlanta
Yeah.
race.
It's not the 2018 season schedule mid pack. That would be a whole lot different. No, that'd be great. We don't want to talk about that again.
I see some bait in our chat too.
There's a lot of bait.
A lot of it.
Which for some reason everyone on Twitter seems to bite on. And then the lowest comment was Bubba winning is great and all, but most of stage 2 and all of stage 3 was a big snoozer, average for me.
Yeah, I'd say it was an average race.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at least they
I
tried
agree.
to
liked
explain
it.
it. I thought it was a good race.
Yeah.
I thought it
See-
definitely it was more eventful in the first half, but I thought the second half was still decent.
I feel like it's one of those races that if I was there in person to see all the battles unfold, then I would have definitely had it higher. But yeah, I mean NBC, they usually do an amazing job and stuff. But I mean, once Bubba Wallace was leading, they were kind of just stuck on him the rest of the way, pretty much.
Yeah, it was the fact that neither Bell nor Hamlin ever got within like a second of him. I mean, it was just a really well executed drive by him. The final
I saw
70 laps or so.
I saw someone on Twitter saying that when Alex Bowman had to lead, they didn't show him at all. But I was thinking, well, there was no reason to. He was out by himself, and the cool battle was back behind him.
It was
led,
in
like-
stage 1 as well. Yeah.
He led like I want to say 107 laps.
He
I think is what I
led
saw.
the most laps, I think.
He led it by a wide margin. That was Danny. I know he won Las Vegas, but I'd say if like beginning, middle, and end, that did feel like the most complete
definitely.
race they put together.
Yeah.
Well, that and Coda, because Coda, he was basically in the top 3 all day. So
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But I mean, it was refreshing to see Alex Bowman actually run competitively.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of us thought he would this year.
Put some respect on his name, guys. There you go.
Yeah.
He's not going anywhere.
He's earned it the last couple
Unfortunately,
weeks.
that is another race at Kansas in his career that he has dominated but didn't get the win back to 2019 there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. That was a fun race though. But yeah, that's
There's
unfortunate.
the poll.
Yep. But anyways, that'll do it for this edition of the famous Iceberg Poll on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast.
We got a super chat a moment ago from Miles Gurley, who says, with Gragson going on a hot streak as of late, is he the favorite for the Xfinity title? That's a great segue because now we're going to talk about the Xfinity race, which was won by Noah Gragson. It was rain shortened, of course. It was a race that, unfortunately, my pick for the weekend, Ty Gibbs, dominated up until those final couple of restarts. Gragson was able to take over the lead.
Hey, chat, we did it, chat. Me and the chat, we picked Gragson. We did it, guys.
Good job, you guys.
Gained on
Great
Eric
job.
a little bit.
Well, impressive stuff. But I mean, real quick, we'll touch on the Xfinity and then the truck race. Jared, do you think Noah Gragson is the Xfinity title favorite at this point?
I don't think there's a straight up favorite still. And this, it does start to feel a little bit like Chase Elliott early in the summer before he had asserted himself as the favorite. Like I think he very well can be. But I would say right now, if I had to pick, it's between him and Ty Gibbs, and then you got AJ Allmendinger, Justin Allgaier, and then maybe you could add in Josh Berry, that are like, if those two, have a hiccup, they could pounce on him. But I think it's between the 9 and the 54 right now. I can't give it just to Gragson just yet, because I felt like they were pretty even from what I could see in the stands. Like once one of them got clean air, they were checked out. But I mean, Gibbs was the one making more of the passes when he got shuffled back. He was the one who was able to pass and get to the front quicker. So
yeah, I'm with Jarrett as well. Just like, as far as championship favorites, Noah Gragson and Ty Gibbs, they seem like, the favorite. But then I have a third guy too. He's been very consistent, just hasn't won a whole lot of races this year. AJ Allmendinger is leading the regular season championship right now. So I wouldn't totally count him out of anything just yet. And also too, don't forget about some more playoff implications that happened today as well. So now it's shuffled out the field. What's his name? Jeremy Clemens won his appeal, and now he is back in the playoffs too. So now this changes the game. Ryan Sieg, I think someone in the chat had mentioned Ryan Sieg was about plus 13 above the cut line, and now he's like minus 50 something behind.
He's minus 19 now behind Landon Castle.
Oh, wait. Whoa, that's way closer than I
think.
Wow,
am I looking at this correct? Yeah. Yeah.
All right, then he still has how many races do we have until the Xfinity playoff start?
Bristol.
No, I want to say this. Like, so you said Sieg is pretty close to Castle.
He's 19 behind Castle, and then it's Sheldon Creed is another 13 behind Sieg.
Yeah.
See, with how good Colleague was last year and how consistent AJ Allmendinger is, and the hype that was behind Landon Castle, like. Yeah, he is really disappointed this season.
It's very
this was his shot.
Well,
this was it.
To be fair, I'm going to say, yes, Landon Castle has not lit the world on fire like many of us hoped he would back in February. But to his credit, at least, or to his defense, perhaps, last year's champion Daniel Hemrick is 10th in points, just a couple spots ahead.
He's not doing too well.
With a different team, though.
But he's still he won the championship with Gibbs last year, but he's come over to Colleague, and the Colleague cars are just, I don't think they're top 3. I think they're like 5th through 15th, 5th through 12th.
To be fair on Daniel Hemrick, he was well known for not winning races.
That's true, but he usually finished 3rd or 4th. He's running 10th, or he's 10th in points. He doesn't have a win. He only has 9 top 10s. He and Landon Castle have the same number of top 10s. Castle actually has 1 more top 5. Than Hemrick
I'd say he's been disappointing too.
And I'd agree. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I think
it's
just
probably Colleague overall.
I think that's what I'm saying. I'm saying maybe it's the cars a little bit, because even Allmendinger doesn't look quite as scary as he has in the recent years.
But also remember too, it's their first full season in the Cup Series as well, so that also has to take some of the
maybe they're
out of the
spread
Xfinity
thin.
program.
I don't know.
So I know Colleague has said we'll probably hear an announcement on their driver lineups in the coming weeks, but right now, of their current lineup in Xfinity Series, I am most worried about Landon Castle, mainly because of the fact he's been around the sport for a while, hasn't really performed too great in this one, and Voyager did file for bankruptcy back earlier this year. Let's not forget that.
Yeah,
I had no idea what his status beyond this year is.
I think they're good this year based on like the way that
the money was already spent earlier this year, but it's like the next year that's where you start worrying.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree as well. But no, now with this whole Clemens situation, being resolved, now the playoffs, it's totally different. I mean, Sheldon Creed and Sieg were battling out there, but now we have one more race to go now before the playoffs begin.
Yep.
Yeah. So hey, win or nothing.
So this is crazy. The Truck Series just got done at their first round last week. Now they're moving into their second round.
Yeah.
The Cup Series ends their first round. The regular season for Xfinity ends this weekend. It's all kinds of confusing.
It's
I wish they would. I wish they would have it, all start at the same time. In my opinion, I think it would make it a lot easier for the fans to understand and all that stuff. But
it's difficult to coordinate, I assume. But if they could, it would be great.
Somehow they all line up and they end at Phoenix. So that's all.
Yeah.
Just trucks take a few extra weeks off in the middle of the
playoffs.
playoffs.
No, more like they took actually they take 2 months to finish the first round of the playoffs.
It takes a long time to get the truck finished. I think that, didn't I see the Truck Series for playoffs began like in July or no?
Yes, July 29th.
Yeah, July 29th. And they ended in September.
Mm-hmm.
Truck Series drivers, they probably take vacations. I don't know.
Real quick on the last lap, Gibbs and Allgaier door slamming for second. Allgaier seemed a little perturbed. Perhaps Gibbs was very apologetic. Do you think that goes anywhere, or do you think that's kind of
no? It doesn't go anywhere. It's just another learning experience. Ty Gibbs thought that he had squeezed them up a lot more, but then after he had saw the replay, he was like, yeah, that's my bad. Another learning deal. So He's still young.
No harm, no foul.
Yeah. Just got to keep that temper in check if he's gonna want to be competing late in the season.
But really quick, shout out to NASCAR. We've criticized them for, the way they've handled the weather sometimes. They handled this one perfectly.
Very
they
carefully.
Saw a window to get a very narrow window for us to get, what was it, 3 or 2 laps of racing in before they called the race. So that was smart on their part.
And they started 20 minutes early, which made the difference.
Yeah. Now I was just like waiting for the reaction on Twitter because I was like, are they really going to finish the stage under caution just to call it official? Ooh, but you know what? Props to them. They got the final 2 laps and we got a pretty good finish.
Absolutely. And they were pretty quick with the trigger on that one caution beforehand as well. So they definitely heard some of the concern and criticism from Daytona. That's all you can hope for. Learn and adjust. So good stuff there. Real quick, let's talk about the truck race. Friend of the show, and I know a driver we were all pulling for Carson Hocevar. Once again finds a heartbreaking way to not only lose the race, but unfortunately get eliminated in the first round of the Truck Series playoffs. That strategy they played, pitting for fuel. God, Jarrett and Darian both making this. They're both doing this at the exact same time.
When is he going to catch a break, man? When is he going to catch a break?
It's tough. Tweeting.
Hey, he almost did with how that last run, like that was his only chance. They didn't have speed. This weekend.
Not at all.
So their only chance was to try that different strategy and hope the cautions fell or didn't fall their way, and they got what they wanted. They just needed the race to end like two laps sooner.
Now, really quick,
half a lap. I mean, wasn't he passed on the last?
Yeah, it was like as
they
they took the white.
So
now, really quick, I want to be critical here of the broadcast, Fox Sports. The way they covered the final laps, I thought could have been way better. Even Denny Hamlin had said something because I had thought that even if Carson Hocevar finishes second, he's locked into the next round. But then all of a sudden they're saying like, oh, Christian Eckett's passed like a bunch of trucks, he's +2, and I'm like, when did that happen? That would have been cool to see that.
They dropped that ball pretty bad.
What's crazy about that is that at the track on the video boards, like the last 30 laps, they had like the points to the lap. Like every time the loop data came in for each lap, they had it updated, ready to go. So like, you knew what was going on up to the last lap. And then they after the race, the radio was like, we're going to take a moment for the playoffs just to make sure it's official. And then it's like, you hear 1 banana, 2 banana, and it's official. Carson Hocevar is out. And I'm like, wow, that was quick.
Yeah. They were so fixated. They always do their real-time points on the Fox broadcast, but they just show, Hocevar's in the lead, so we're giving him a win. They don't look that extra layer and say, well, what if he doesn't win? This is a case where you needed that extra information, and they never delivered. And they didn't even seem to address it. Like Darian said, when they did bring it up, they said, oh, he's second, should still be good enough. And it's like, it wasn't.
You know what they could do? I was thinking what would be a really easy fix. And they do this on the NBC broadcast too, which annoys me just because like when you're at Talladega and it's like, oh, look at the cut line changing as like, so-and-so takes the lead. What you could do is what they do with the stages and just put like a little checkered flag by them on the grid. Just to let people know, like, here's where the guys are points wise. This guy is the leader at the moment. you can, if a fan can't tell that the next one, the last guy plus whatever over the cut line would be out, if not, like they gotta get their eyes checked at that point.
Yeah.
And a good point Noah Lewis made, said, don't even get me started about calling races from the studio. It drives me out because apparently a lot of the truck series races have been being called from the Fox studio, not from the
they've
track.
been remote.
That's another issue, but hey, but you know
I
what?
think
They messed up.
I'm glad Craftsman is back, but I don't think Marcus Lemonis made it too secretive. One of the main reasons he seems to be pulling out is he was not happy with the coverage of the truck series this year.
I mean, look, it's a combination of a lot of issues. First off, the first round of the Truck Series playoffs should not have taken 2 freaking months to finish up. That was ridiculous. Number 2, I mean, like when you have a broadcast partner that, at times it feels like, they don't care about the product and stuff, then I could see why it's hard, for fans to get into it too. So like, hopefully they can definitely improve on that next year. Or, perhaps when the new TV deal rolls around, somebody other than Fox is covering truck races. That'd be cool.
I can't help but feel like CBS and SRX's budget just got a little bit larger with Camping World getting out of NASCAR.
Maybe I don't know.
Maybe perhaps.
Who would you pick, the FS1 Booth or Alan Bestwick?
That's
Alan
Bestwick,
easily.
Bestwick. He's got best. in his
no
name
questions
for a
asked.
reason.
Yeah, no questions asked. Yeah, and also he has those funny sayings.
Even if you were going to
Hoots, yeah, I was thinking that.
Even if you were going to have me do Alan Bestwick with Rutledge Wood, I would still go with Alan Bestwick being in there.
Since we're on a small little tangent about this, when we did the interview with Alan a couple years ago, I wanted to copy down his tips that he gave us. And I think I've shown it before.
Yeah,
it doesn't really pop
Is
up
that a
too
pack
well.
of floss? What is that? Oh, it's a piece of paper.
It's a piece of 5 gum, because I used to chew gum on my way to class, and so I'd always have empty wrappers in there, and I was like, I don't have paper. Gum. So like I've had this now
how it
for
feels
3
to chew
years.
5 gum.
It feels like listening to Alan Bestwick talk.
Does it still smell minty fresh?
how it feels.
Oh my God, it does. But I put this on my wall.
How it feels to listen to Alan Bestwick.
Yeah.
Stimulate your senses.
But I've had this on every wall, no matter if I live in a college dorm or at my parents during COVID or here, like no matter, like I have it with me for every broadcast, and every time I look over at it, and it's like, it's good advice. It's from the best.
Yeah,
Well, the chat is
really quick,
trashing
back
5
to-
gum. Sorry.
Yeah, really quick, back to the race. Shout out to John Hunter Nemechek. He gets the win. Zane Smith, I thought was going to be dominant, but still he ended up finishing P3, so not a bad night. But then the 2 drivers eliminated are Matt Crafton and Carson Hocevar, unfortunately. So now, at this point, Hocevar can just go for the wins, doesn't have to worry about playoffs or nothing. So let's see if we can finally get that win.
Hopefully, that's still racing for something. Man, the chat, Juicy Fruit for life. Who likes?
Oh, I love Juicy Fruit. I love Juicy Fruit.
I had
buddy.
Juicy Fruit
I love
recently, and it was not.
I'm not a fan of Juicy Fruit, but I always loved Juan Pablo Escobar.
Big Red.
Yeah.
I love Big Red too.
That's
Big
fair.
Red's awesome.
Well, that's going to do it for Kansas. Covered the Cup race, the Xfinity race, and the Truck Series race. Before we get into the second half of the show, also the lightning round coming up, let's take our first super chat stage break. We appreciate your support very, very much. If you guys want to start a timer for me, I'll just jump right into this. Isaac sent 5 and said, idea for a positive Texas video when Carl Edwards went 69 laps on 1 tank of fuel to win the fall 2008 race.
Very nice performance.
Very nice job, Carl Edwards.
Texas
Thank you.
Next week.
Thank you, Isaac. From Steve earlier, he said, I'm not looking for sympathy for saying this, but spent most of the morning in the ER thinking I had a heart attack. I'm ready to relax with the show. Well, we hope you're doing better, Steve. That sounds
hopefully you're doing better.
Hope you're good, man.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you tuning in and thank you for the support. But best wishes to you. Hope you get to feeling better sooner rather than later. Antar Das said, like I predicted last week, someone is going to choke. I guess talking about Bristol. He assumes something's going to go bad there. Bailey sent 5 earlier, said Tony Stewart letting Kyle Busch go to RCR is bad. Terrible owner. Yes, I'm still bitter. Goodness. Tony Stewart letting Kyle Busch. I don't know. I bet Tony Stewart didn't have an option to get Kyle Busch over at SHR.
Well, let's remember, it's not the first Kyle he whipped
he's
on.
0 for 2 on the
Man,
Kyles.
come on. He's got to keep that ride open for Cole Custer.
Keep in mind, a lot of this did have to do with what could be best for Brexton in the future.
I think that's very true. Kyle Busch's Truck Series program is very important to him, as he has demonstrated time and time again this year. From Jeff C, I'm saying that right, just sent some beer emoji, so I guess having a drink tonight, enjoying the show, hopefully. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Napa Racing fan. Brandon Jones to JRM in 2023. Why, Junior? Why?
Funding. Hey, gotta have funding. And he's not that bad. He's like average too.
He's fine. He's good.
Average.
He's like the new Michael Annette over there. I don't know.
He's a little better than Annette. He's a little better.
Well, sure. I'm saying he's at least as good as Michael Annette. I thought you. Brandon Jones isn't great, but I don't want to stand for any Brandon Jones slander over here.
Yeah.
Hey, I was at his first Xfinity win.
Oh, that's right. He
Very
was.
nice.
Yeah.
Need for Speed 5353 says praise Ty Dillon. Okay, Antar Das again. The famous words of 2007 Aaron's 499 qualifying to the Colts versus Texans game. It's a damn tie. I love that the NFL is back.
Less than a minute, by the way.
Hot Piss says, Danny, you trying to snap a picture with the iconic Hot Piss this weekend? So one of our viewers will definitely be at Bristol.
He'll be there.
Well,
Nice.
I hope you don't look like your name, but I would like to meet you.
Yeah, and make sure our Kelly is not around either.
Oh God,
He's going to jail.
Moffire 924 says, glad for the driver camera as I was watching NFL on TV. Yeah, shout out to NASCAR Drive. 40, well, not 40, whatever. How many cars win this race? 36, 37?
Well,
All the cars.
some of those camera angles were hot trash.
A few were. Like, I think it was Suarez's camera got knocked over a little bit and was like just pointed like at the sky.
Denny's, like, say this is the camera for the dash. That was Denny's.
Yeah, can definitely improve on some of them, but it was a great start. Melon Smasher
It's a
one.
good concept.
Thanks for the 5. Hey boys, another week, another winner not named Martin Truex, and can't wait to see Josefar and Deegan next year at my home track, the Milwaukee Mile. Yes.
3 minutes.
Very
That's
nice.
3 minutes.
All right, I'll do one more real quick. Jupiter Rain sent 2. So much for Kevin Harvick being the championship favorite. Well, you still got Bristol. Actually, I do want to do one more because I meant to call this one out earlier. I thought it was funny. From Sina Skafitch. No idea if I'm saying that right. Glad Tyler Reddick shaved that beard. He looked like a bus driver who got fired for vaping with the students.
You talking about the Hulk Hogan mustache?
It was not good. I don't know if I agree with the vaping reference, but I do not like the beer he was trying out. I don't know.
What are you talking about?
What
are you talking about, brother?
If he would have kept that until this weekend, I was literally going to buy him a Hulk Hogan bandana, bring it to him at the race this weekend.
Yeah, why not?
Darian, you and I met Hulk Hogan at the fantasy draft.
Oh yeah, there was a Hulk Hogan lookalike too. Yeah.
What?
It was a crazy fantasy draft. We got pictures.
Did y'all
We'll
like
show
hire a rodeo clown to appear?
No, that's what they do, man. That's what they do. They dress up for it. That's fun.
Before we get into the lightning round, we do have to thank our first sponsor of the night. This is one of my favorite segments each week where we get to show off our favorite diecast cars or newest diecast cars from our collection. But this segment is brought to you by Lionel Racing, the official diecast of NASCAR. You can order your favorite driver's 2022 diecast right now at lionelracing.com or at any authorized Lionel retailer. Darian, first and foremost, I don't see any other cars on screen. There's Jarrett's. All right, Darian's got an old, what is that, 2010 Kyle Busch?
2011. Hey, fans, hey, feast your eyes, fans. It's not going to be around much longer, so yeah, you better get it. Yeah, but no, this is from 2011. Yeah, 2011 Kyle Busch scheme. And this is also I think this is also the same scheme he won the 2012 Bud Shootout, maybe, or no, I think that was a different one. But yeah. This is his scheme from 2011. So yep, KBF or KFB fans, feast your eyes because it is going away soon.
Jared, I know you have a personal connection to that car and an interesting story behind it. What do you got there?
Yes, so this is the show car diecast from the 2006 Chicagoland race, which I received from a friend of mine who works at Chicagoland Speedway. Sweet. He was at the track this weekend. So Larry, hi, if you're watching. I just, every little bit of a connection I can get to this track, I want to get just because, with me going there so much in my childhood and stuff like this. The interesting thing about this car, and Eric, you won't like this race, this was of course the 2006
I think I know
show car. No, it's, you don't know where it's going. This was the first year that my grandfather actually went to Chicagoland to watch races. He sat up in the grandstands and he looked and saw all the fun they were having in the infield, and he said, yeah, I want to be there. Like, I don't want to burn it here. I want to be there. So for 14 years we were there. So I love this car.
Nice.
Eric, do you remember the race in question though? Do you?
That's why I was like, why was Jarrett like saying like, oh, Eric, you'll love this race or whatever? Like,
No.
Oh yeah, well, I have actually, I don't know where I put it, but I have like a giant laminated picture of Jeff Gordon spinning out Matt Kenseth, and I'm gonna wait till we have a live show in here and put it right where Eric's gonna sit.
Danny, that one's making me hungry. What do you got there?
So yeah, I have got the Tyler Reddick number 8 Cheddar's croissant car. Tyler, are you gonna finish that croissant?
We haven't used that meme in a while.
No. But yeah, this is one of the last cars I got from JP's NASCAR, and I seen it sitting there on his shelf, and I thought, you know what, there's a connection to the podcast with that car, so I've got to have it. So I added this one into the collection. Really happy with this one. And Jared, real quick, going back to yours, I want to say that one's made by the company who wasn't Action, correct? That was the other company that made that one.
I can check. It doesn't say on here.
Because I remember they always made it look more like the super speedway body style, and that one's got the large front bumper under like a super speedway car.
Team Caliber is what it says.
That's who it was. Yeah, Team Caliber. They always made them more like the super speedway front bumper, very large.
Very chunky. No, I agree. I didn't like that.
But
a lot of
Eric, I like your diecast though. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, we got this is the last time Kyle Busch, I think this is 2019, right? Last time Kyle Busch won at Bristol, beat up rear bumper. This was the spring race that year.
I was at that one.
Yeah, but I thought it was fitting with the news this week and also with Bristol coming up and Kyle Busch being in a precarious points position. So I thought it'd be fun to show that off.
Outside of Jarrett, we all kind of went for a similar theme here.
Yeah, but like Jarrett said, you can't take the Chicagoland out of the iceberg. That's never going to happen.
You can't never do that.
I like it. Well, thank you to Lionel for sponsoring the show. Guys, I think the National Weather Service just set out an alert for every area of the country.
Yes, it has. And it's the lightning round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Jarrett, go over the news from this week.
Well, luckily those storms are going pretty quick because we got a little bit here. Starting off, there's going to be a next-gen test at Homestead on Tuesday, September 20th, so about 6 days from today. So really interesting stuff to see from there. Jimmy Johnson has said that he's open to racing in the All-Star race, according to Nate Ryan. So
he's eligible.
That'd be cool. Mm-hmm. Austin Dillon's contract with RCR, Bob Pockrass reported, lasts through 2025. So not a lifetime deal. I just want to give a shout out really quick to Kevin Harvick for going freaking scorched earth on Twitter. It's beautiful. I feel like I've been transported back to 2002.
Nobody is safe.
And finally, Hot Wheels has actually been responding to a bunch of NASCAR tweets over the past couple of weeks, and now has especially been responding to ones with Kyle Busch's RCR announcement. Reminder to everybody watching, Hot Wheels did sponsor the 8 car last year at one point.
They were an associate sponsor. That's right. Ooh,
that'd be awesome.
That'd be big. I don't know why my lightning effect didn't work. This has been working for years. It's not working. Did I delete it on accident? Where did it go?
Oh no, it's all good. We'll do the.
I like how I was the one who originally got it, and I lost it. I never have got it back.
Guys, someone's gonna have to file share with me before next.
Yeah, I'll share it with you. Yeah, and that'll do it for this edition of the Lightning Round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. And now back to the show.
I like how there was nothing on the Lightning Round this week. It was all nothing but huge news that didn't belong on the Lightning Round.
Hey, we're about to segue into the huge news now, though, chat. So get ready.
Absolutely. Before we completely get into the second half of the show, which is going to be jam-packed, we have to thank our other sponsor, Forney Industries. Forney offers a full line of welding and plasma cutting machines, metalworking accessories, and more. Great for do-it-yourselfers all the way up to professional metal workers. Forney has everything you need for your next project. I like how the chat was like ready for the Forney segment before I even.
Oh, they're quick.
They know what's good. They know that they got our. They got our.
They're on the schedule.
Yeah, they're in this Google Doc with me. Wow.
Yeah, 800 are they in the itinerary too?
Yeah, 800 people are in there. We're looking at this document right now. Shop Forney's top of the line products online at forneyind.com or check for them at an authorized Forney dealer near you. I love the sponsors on the show. We have toy cars and we have welding equipment.
Hey, we
all
do
of our
it all.
bases
We have it all,
covered.
man.
We do it all
Variety.
here.
We could take our toy cars and weld them together. Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, we could make damaged models of it with Forney tools. That's right. If you wanted to, just use Forney tools to make damaged models for your diecast. There you
Probably
go.
could work. I'm not actually sure.
Hey, look it up though. I don't want to.
Don't try these things at home.
Yeah.
This sounds dangerous. So we don't
Look it up, man.
What happens when a bunch of idiots on the internet play with their sponsors?
Do not weld without parents' permission, kids.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We've got a packed second half of the show. First off, let's start with the big news of the week. It's confirmed now, and actually, last time we talked about this, it wasn't even reported yet, but it's now confirmed. Kyle Busch will not drive for Toyota next year. He's moving to Chevrolet. He will drive the 8 car at Richard Childress Racing. Before we all give our takes on it, just a few important details to note. No sponsorship has yet been confirmed, although there were reports that there are some existing RCR sponsors that will likely stick with Kyle Busch. We've got a couple other notes. This will be RCR said that there will be a 3rd car for Tyler Reddick and said that they intend on getting a charter. Some questions about if that's a legitimate claim or if that's just him bluffing.
Okay.
Crew chief will be Randall Burnett. And I think that's it. Oh, KBM. Big thing with KBM. They don't have anything set in stone yet, but the plan is for them to convert to Chevy and continue to run next year with support from Chevrolet and General Motors and RCR. But that is still TBD. Their driver line is still TBD. But Kyle Busch, after 15 successful seasons at JGR. He's their winningest driver in franchise history, 2 championships, 5 straight championship 4s between, I think, 2015 and 2019. An all-time great. He will be remembered as, at least up to this point, the greatest driver in NASCAR Toyota history. Jarrett, let's start with you. There's a lot of ways to go with this because I think what happens to JGR now? Did they mess this up? Did Toyota mess this up? Is Kyle Busch making the right decision? Is RCR making the right decision? I don't even know where to start. I guess we'll start with Kyle Busch. Jarrett, did Kyle Busch make the right call?
I mean, if you look the direction that RCR has been going, you could say yes, honestly. We talked about earlier this year when Tyler Reddick signed with 2311, that at best that was a lateral move with how they'd been doing because RCR had been doing so much better. I personally think that just having that change of scenery, because we've seen 2020, 2021, now this year, Kyle Busch has just seemed fed up. He's just, you can tell that he's getting ornery for Kyle Busch standards. He's, he's been, standoffish to his team, to Gibbs, and in a way that's not normal for Kyle Busch to do so. I should probably preface that. So I think having that change of scenery is a good move for him. I'll lean yes, simply because of the precedent that he set when he came over to JGR. If you remember, Joe Gibbs Racing was all right in 2007. Tony Stewart and Denny Hamlin are pretty good. That 18 team was atrocious. JJ Yaley had some good runs to start the year, but overall was not that good. Kyle Busch, when he went over there, many people thought that his career was just going downhill. He was just going down a slope. That 18 car hadn't won a race
since
2003. 4.5 years.
2003 Ford 400 was their last win up to that point.
So maybe three years or 4 years. Yeah, I'm right.
One of the two.
It's 4. So you look at him taking over this 8 team. This 8 team is a round of 12, round of 8 caliber team with Tyler Reddick.
Hey, they're my championship pick. Damn it.
They're Eric's championship pick. And with all due respect to Reddick, I think Kyle Busch at his best is a better driver than Tyler Reddick is at this point at his best. So I would not be surprised if he runs similar to what Kevin Harvick ran from like 2010 to 2013, consistent wins, maybe 2 to 5 races a year, championship contender. I don't think that's out of the question. And I just think that having a more clear mind with an owner who will support his future and is probably much more grateful to have somebody who wants to be there. I think that can't be discounted. So I'm going to lean yes. I think this was the right move.
I'm with you when you said that change of scenery, because Kyle Busch, Kyle Busch is great. He's been great, but the last 2-3 years, like you mentioned, you mentioned this year specifically, he doesn't seem to be quite as focused, quite as much of a team player. But the last 2 or 3 years, the results speak for themselves. He's had speed here and there, but he's made some more mistakes. He just hasn't gotten the finishes to show for it. He's only won 4 races the last 3 years. That's not Kyle Busch. I'm sorry. There's only so much bad luck that I'm going to chalk up to bad luck. Like at some point, you got to make your own luck, and Busch hasn't done a lot of that the last 3 years. So crew chief change, next gen car, less practice, rules preventing him from making as many Xfinity and truck starts each year. Like there's a number of excuses, but I think this change of scenery is going to be good. Like he's only won 1 race this year for JGR. I think he wins at least 2 or 3 next year at RCR. My prediction would be, I'd be like over under 2.5 wins. I think that's what people will set the bar at. And I think you can make an argument for both, but I think he'll do well next year. I think Randall Burnett is great. Of the options that were available to him, sounds like Joe Gibbs Racing over the last couple months quietly removed their offer to Kyle Busch. We're no longer on the table. Like 2311, they're getting better. I think they're close to the tier, the level RCR is at, but there's still a lot of uncertainty there. And you know, if you go to 2311, Bubba Wallace is kind of the guy. He's the guy they brought over to kind of start that team. He's the reason all those sponsors are there. And it's awkward because you're switching within the Toyota ecosystem. There's still going to be that awkward day-to-day relationship with Joe Gibbs Racing, the team that lets you go. You go to RCR. And yes, you got to deal with being maybe second fiddle to the owner's grandson, but you're going to a team that is used to losing superstar drivers in recent years. From Kevin Harvick 8 years ago, whatever it was, to, if you want to call Reddick a superstar, he's not a superstar yet, but he's a great up-and-coming young driver.
In the making.
To losing Reddick this year. Like, big-name drivers typically run away from RCR. They don't go to RCR. So you're going to go to an owner that's happy to have you there. You're going to a team that's improved dramatically this year with the next gen. I think the change of scenery is huge for Kyle Busch. So I actually think of all the options available to him, this is probably the best he could do outside of staying in the 18 car, which maybe a few months ago he could have taken that deal. He didn't. I think this was the next best option. What do you think, Darian?
Well, you know, one big aspect that we haven't talked about yet is the owners. Joe Gibbs, obviously spectacular NASCAR owner, but he's not a racer. Richard Childress is a racer. He can relate to Kyle Busch more in a sense too. And just, you know, him talking about Kyle Busch at the press conference. I mean, for years, you know, people have compared him to Dale Sr. Hey, this is our generation's Dale Sr. He even said it too. He's like, yeah, I feel like he's, you know, he is a modern day Dale Sr. That's a lot of praise coming from the guy that helped get him his 6th championship. So I think it's a fantastic move. I think, yeah, I agree with you with the best case scenario. Yes, you know, we were talking about, you know, potentially moving to colleague, but they're still very new. 2311, sure, but then there might be some difficulties as well. You know, like you just said, Eric, moving within the Toyota ecosystem there. Would he get, you know, a ton of priority because Bubba Wallace is there? And, you know, granted, obviously Bubba Wallace isn't, you know, obviously Kyle Busch is the better driver of the two. But, you know, as far as the media attention and stuff, they're not going to really pay too much attention compared to Bubba Wallace. And then also the final team too, Storehouse Racing, that was a team that he was linked to for a while there too. And even Kevin Harvick was trying to court him like, hey, if he came over here, it'd be great. But unfortunately, didn't land it, didn't get the deal done. But
he's 37 years old. Like he still has plenty left, I think.
Yeah.
And I think right at the moment, like we talked about with the change scenery, but having the right owner that'll understand a driver at this point of their career, I think is something that can't be overlooked whatsoever. I mean, and if Richard Childress can even get 80% of what Kyle Busch is still capable of out of him, he'll be a perennial championship contender with how well that 8 team is run. That 8 team has been one of the fastest teams all season. Looking at what Tyler Reddick has done this season, he has almost as many top 5s, get this, as Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott this season. Like the team has speed. Get somebody like Busch who's good enough to get the consistency down. I mean, when you look at them side by side, Kyle Busch has 3 less top 5s this year, 1 more top 10, and has only led about 150 more laps than Reddick so far. Like, I think that he can really excel if given the correct amount of support.
Danny, I want to know what you think, because we have Tip Jackson in the chat here just said RCR, where careers go to die.
I've seen some of those criticisms too.
Danny, do you think that's the case?
Not really. If anything, I've seen some people actually find a resurgence in their careers almost. We've seen Ryan Newman go there. He got his last win of RCR. We saw Paul Menard get a win there, even though it was on strategy. Granted, those are still several years ago back at this point, but I won't say that a career is going to die. We saw a career blossom and begin with Tyler Reddick, so I won't say that. And Austin Dillon, give him what you will, he's got 4 wins in his career, so no, I'm not going to say that. But there was a comment though that I saw in here from Trevor Bailey that I wanted to point out that I thought was kind of cool, since we're on the subject of Kyle Busch, and this is going to end after Phoenix, but said, interesting fact, guys, this Saturday, Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin will race their 516th race as teammates, breaking a tie with Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon for most all time as teammates.
Wow. I didn't know that.
They've been together for that long.
I just didn't realize that was the record. I didn't know Johnson and Gordon was
really, if you think about it, Gordon and Johnson were together from 2002 to 2015. So now Hamlin and Busch have been together from 2008 to 2022. Technically, that's a lot more years, but because of times where Denny Hamlin was out to injury, Kyle Busch was out to injury, it's took them a little bit longer to get to this point. Wow, but they are going to break that tie with Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson, though.
They would have reached it a whole lot quicker if they were healthy. Yeah.
That's super interesting.
Looking to also what the chat's been saying, Sly Supersonic has a good point. Oh, where did comment go? He says, don't forget about Jeff Burton's amazing mid 2000s resurgence too. Burton, at the end of his time at Roush, he was a championship level driver in the late 90s, early 2000s, fell off. The wheels fell off, things fell apart, goes over to RCR. And I would say from about 2006 to 2008, and then maybe add in 2010, he was consistently one of the best 5 to 7 drivers. I think Kyle Busch is better than Jeff Burton, by a considerable amount.
And also in 2006, at one point during the chase, he was the points leader. Jeff Burton was, so he was a true championship contender for a little bit there.
That's a good point.
I don't in any way like RCR is not RFK. Like, this is not a team that runs 20th to 25th every week and then is just waiting and dying to get to the super speedways, or now in Buescher's case, the road courses. Like, this is a team with Austin Dillon, who, whether getting a win or not, makes the playoffs 4 out of the last 5 or 6 years. With Tyler Reddick has like Danny said, blossomed a career of a probably future superstar of this sport. And now they just got the winningest active driver in NASCAR. Like, I don't think that they're going to be at the level of like Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson, but I think he'll outperform Reddick this season by a good margin.
As long as Busch drives the 8 car, I expect him to make the playoffs, and I expect him to at least border on championship contention.
I'll put it like this. I think there's a chance that Talladega last year could have even been Brad Keselowski's last win. I do not think that Bristol Dirt this year was Kyle Busch's last win.
No,
that's a good point. And actually, I noticed in the chat, another YouTuber we've had on the show, Baloney Burger, said 3 wins, both cars in the playoffs, but they suck. Yeah, talking about RCR this year. They did get both their cars in the playoffs. Can't deny that.
So bad. And then meanwhile, SHR is going out this round, most likely.
Yeah, exactly.
See how that works. Now, but hey, with Kyle Busch, I think RCR is back, though. I think they're back.
I do want to talk, we'll talk about a couple questions I would ask. Well, I want to ask my next question. We talked about it. This is a good move for Kyle Busch. Did Toyota and Joe Gibbs Racing blow it, or do you think they'll be okay? Do you think they have a plan? Are you okay with their plan? Darian, I want to start with you on this.
Yeah, I'm going to play devil's advocate compared to most opinions I've seen. Like, look, obviously they did everything they could to try and keep him. Now, the ways they did it are definitely questionable, taking away the 18 option and stuff after all he's done for all those years. I thought that was crazy. Yeah.
I don't think that happened until the last couple months at least.
Yeah. It happened more recently. Yeah, sure. But then, look at Toyota's lineup right now. Kyle Busch is about to leave. Then you have Denny Hamlin, who has said he's probably going to retire by either 2025, 2026, one of those years. And then Truex has been linked to, retirement rumors for a while now. Toyota has had this development program for years, and it's for a reason. For times like now, it is time to rebuild. It's time to get Ty Gibbs in that 18 to get him some more next-gen experience full time. You got other Toyota guys in the pipeline. John Hunter Nemechek has a season's worth of Cup Series experience, granted in a different car. But I think if you were to poll most NASCAR fans, they would definitely love to see him in either the 11 or the 19. And then another young guy by the name of Chandler Smith, who I have had my eye on for a while now, long before he was with Joe Gibbs. That's another guy in the pipeline too.
Well, Chandler Smith is the only one in the pipeline that has not straight up said the Toyota straight up said they were retained.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. Wow. Yeah, he's kind of a free agent, not a free agent, but he can kind of do what he wants. I don't think he's tied to a manufacturer. He's been linked to Toyota and KBM, but will he follow Busch to Chevy? Will he go somewhere else? We don't know yet.
So basically, I feel like in the short term, it is obviously going to affect Toyota racing in NASCAR and Joe Gibbs racing as well. It's really going to affect them. As for the long term, if they play this whole development card just right, get the right young drivers in, at the same at different times when these superstars retire, then I think they'll be okay. But they have to be really careful about who they put in. I mean, we've seen young guys get opportunities before, like an Eric Jones, like a Daniel Suarez. And look what happens. They just rip the rug right out of, right underneath them after, a couple of seasons too. So, and also too, as far as Toyota's development program is concerned, while they've had some hits, they've also had quite a few misses as well. And they've let, they've also let some of their talent go by the wayside as well. So that's another thing.
So yeah, I'll say on my end with this, I struggle to say that they screwed up in the sense that how could they let this happen? Like it was an accident. It's obviously they had a plan in place with this. Once Ty Gibbs started showing that he was a capable driver in Cup, filling in for Kurt Busch, where I would say I think they're miscalculating is kind of what Darian brought up. You have Denny Hamlin, who one has talked about going more into the ownership role. Two, we have an extremely stiff, not up to the standard of safety car now compared to recent years. And Denny Hamlin is a driver. I won't say he's injury prone, but his career has been injury riddled, especially with back injuries. So you don't know long-term, I don't think, how long Hamlin can be at a consistently high level. And even if you say high level, this year has been pretty off for his standards. Martin Truex Jr. off for his standards and is wishy-washy every other year. Christopher Bell is your lone rock right now outside of Ty Gibbs, but I think that Ty Gibbs needs somebody who is more of a solid veteran presence. And it seemed like from what he talked about on Dale Jr. Download and in interviews, that was Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch has been giving him tough love and telling him what he shouldn't do. So I think if there was a possibility and Toyota and JGR just let him walk, especially with the development program that Kyle Busch possesses, I think that they definitely made a miscalculation if that's the case. If not, if there's nothing they could do, then there's nothing they could do. Kyle Busch was unhappy and wanted out. But I would really, if I'm Toyota, I really hope that they would, I really hope that they did everything and exhausted everything possible to do so, because it could long-term have an effect on not only Kyle Busch, but also Ty Gibbs long-term.
I think so. Go ahead, Danny, you can go.
I was just going to say, I was doing some math here, and the average age of the three eldest drivers at JGR currently is 40. That being the average age between Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, and Martin Truex Jr. You add Christopher Bell to that lineup, it's 36.75. You take out Kyle Busch, you add in Ty Gibbs, then our average age becomes 32.25. So that just basically means, it's just that time. Toyota has got to start looking at the next step. We saw Hendrick go through this just a few years ago when we saw the big change and become all the young guys that are driving for them now. So it's just that's NASCAR. We're eventually all teams that are in this for the long run will go through this.
Yeah, I think when you look at, you have to kind of separate Joe Gibbs Racing from Toyota. I know they're linked, obviously, in many ways, but Joe Gibbs Racing, to me, losing Kyle Busch isn't going to be the end of the world. As we talked about earlier, I feel like that environment with Busch, it kind of run its course. Between the crew chief swap and the failed Mars leaving and not being able to land Oracle, I just think that relationship had turned a little sour. Kyle Busch was no longer going to give you his best performance, and he hasn't given you his best performance the last 2 or 3 years. So I think losing Kyle Busch, they'll survive because they're going to have Hamlin and Truex for at least another year. They'll probably have Hamlin for 2, 3, 4 more years, and there's your veteran experience who can mentor the Ty Gibbses of the world. I know Ty Gibbs and Denny Hamlin, they have a good relationship as well. So, while Kyle Busch is key, he's not the only one. You have a veteran presence. I think, a veteran team like Joe Gibbs Racing can afford to lose Kyle Busch more so than maybe another team could. So it's not good. You'd rather have kept Kyle Busch. That should have been plan A. But the moment Kyle Busch was asking for top tier money, I'm sorry, I don't think he's worth top tier money right now. I wouldn't pay him like he's the best driver in the sport. When that became kind of the be all end all, that's what they wanted. Both sides, what Busch's side wanted. I don't blame Gibbs for just letting him walk. It sucks, but I can't put that on them. Now, Toyota, I do think Toyota is going to suffer a little bit more because Toyota, they have Joe Gibbs Racing. That's their main operation in NASCAR, but losing KBM will affect JGR, but it's going to affect Toyota even more because now what do you do with Corey Heim, with John Hunter Nemechek? We'll talk about in a moment, Brandon Jones leaving. That might free up some space in the Xfinity series, but now, you got Thor Sport. I guess you got McAnally, whoever that owns the 19 truck.
No, they're Chevy.
They're Chevy now. Yeah,
they're Chevy.
When did they switch? I didn't know that.
So I think this year. I think they switched this year.
So it's tough. You lose those seats. That's an important development seat, and you hate to lose that. So that I think Toyota is probably more upset about Kyle Busch leaving than Joe Gibbs Racing is. Joe Gibbs Racing wanted Kyle Busch. That was Plan A. But the moment Ty Gibbs showed promise in Xfinity and then Cup this summer, I'm sorry, he's way cheaper. He brings Monster Energy, maybe even a couple other sponsors already. You got to start developing him for the future because he is going to be great. He's going to be a star driver before too long. Get him in that seat as soon as you can.
If Toyota can put up the money, nothing's stopping Ford Sport from running more than 4 trucks. They're technically allowed to have more than 4 trucks in the truck series. So
so basically the teams, thank you, DC. He pointed out Thor Sport, Hattori, and Halmer.
That's right. Halmar Friesen became Toyotas again.
But Halmar Friesen, they don't even always run the up-to-date Toyota body, so they're not.
I think
Toyota
they're their own
back.
thing. You're not going to see Chandler Smith, or not. You're not going to see Corey Heim in the 62 truck.
But I did forget about Hattori. They are a Toyota back team. So, and they've got 2 or 3 trucks now. 2. They got 2 at least.
Ankrum.
They got 2 at least. I know.
Yeah, 2 at least.
They run the 61 a decent amount, but isn't that full time? I don't know if that one's full time.
And also they have some big news apparently too that they're going to reveal. They keep hyping that up.
I think even Toyota is going to survive this because Toyota has enough resources and support. Give it some time, but I wouldn't be shocked if another big team switches to Toyota in trucks, or if they open up a new team forms, or I don't know. Trucks is trucks these days. They might just focus on Xfinity or late models. Like KBM has a late model program, I believe. I don't know how that gets affected in all this. But maybe Toyota starts to focus on the short track ranks a little bit more. You see that Toyota commercial that plays on Sundays that shows sprint cars and midget car racing. Like they might focus on dirt a little bit more. I don't know. I think Toyota will be fine. It's not good, but I don't think it's the end of the world the way a lot of people have been saying.
I'm curious. Does KBM keep running that JGR style 18?
I don't think
they had it.
No, they're right. They can't anymore. Right?
They probably don't.
I don't think so.
That'd be like, I'm trying to think of an example, but it'd be like if I don't know if Evernham was still around and then they would have to get Hendrick would have to get permission from Evernham to use that 9 if it were still around per se.
So I think they're going to have some new numbers, definitely some new drivers next year too.
They can keep the 4 and 51. Those are just unique numbers, but it's that 18 that I'm like, well, that's stick around. I wonder.
Yeah. They could probably keep the 18,
just as a different font, maybe.
Just. Is that how we get the true RCR 8 back on track? We do it as an 18 and put on a truck.
I guess so.
We'll see if we can make that happen. Real quick before we move on to some more big news, do you guys think Tyler Reddick will race for RCR next year?
Ask Kurt Busch.
on paper, Yes. And then also part of me is like, would he be that petty to put him in an Xfinity car, even though he said he's going to put him in a Cup car?
I just wonder, what's in Reddick's contract? How does he not have it written out? I must race full time in a Cup Series car. Like that just
they signed that extra year option.
I know, but I'm saying, how did that has to be based on an existing car? Like, if you're a Cup driver, I feel like you get it in writing, must race for a chartered full time Cup Series entry. Like, I feel like you don't leave that up to interpretation if you can avoid it.
Childress said that he was going to have a chartered third team.
I know.
I'm not saying that he's.
Do you think he's bluffing?
He couldn't confidently answer the questions that was being asked. Though
but at the same time, he's not going to just completely derail. Okay, maybe he would be petty enough to.
He didn't tell Reddick about this news until the day
until an hour. Yeah,
but neither did Tyler Reddick tell him.
But that's what I'm saying. He's vindictive. He's like an eye for an eye. Exactly.
Yeah.
As it stands now, I will say most likely yes, he still races for them next year.
Yeah, I think he will at the moment. I think it all depends on the fact if Kurt Busch's brain is okay or not. Like if Kurt Busch can come back next year, they've already told him it's yours. Kurt Busch is under contract for next year. So
even if Kurt Busch doesn't come back next year, if RCR is going to keep Reddick in there, Toyota can go to Brandon Jones for a year. They have someone who can run there for a year.
Well, no, Brandon Jones is.
No. They don't have him.
It's all good. It's all good.
I just found out today.
I think that he will drive for him next year. I think he's going to be the guinea pig car. I think he's going to be the car that is going to. I don't see Childress being like, you know what, Tyler, we're going to put it all under the bridge and we're going to go for a championship next year. No, I see Richard Childress being the one who's just like, so by the way, we have this experimental part we're going to put in. So if anything happens, you're the one who foots the bill.
I don't know.
I just wanted to point out this too. Oh, go ahead, Danny. What are you guys?
John Hunter, because now we don't know what he's doing next year.
There you go. Yeah, that's a good one. But no, to answer your question, first off, look, it all depends on Kurt Busch. And it sounds like he's not going to retire just yet. So yes, but I'll say this, man, Kyle Busch joining RCR was probably one of the worst case scenarios for Tyler Reddick. And here's why, because not only is Tyler Reddick going to be in the guinea pig car and stuff, which is likely not going to be as good as the 8 car, but also he's not only losing his team, but his crew chief that helped him get 2 road course wins this year and, helped him perform a whole lot better. So look, Tyler Reddick, I don't think he's going to perform horribly, but it's going to be one of those lame duck years for him, unfortunately. I don't think he's going to be as nearly as successful as he is this year in the R&D car.
I feel like this could be very similar to a Casey Atwood 2002, Jeremy Mayfield 2006 kind of scenario.
Yeah, one of those deals.
I think Tyler Reddick knew going into this, like he knew, I think, signing with somebody behind his team owner's back, doing it the way he did it, which, let's be real, it wasn't the greatest way he could have handled that. I think he knew this was going to happen. Like
it's karma.
He went into it knowing this. It's not even karma. It's just I think this is part of the plan. He knew to get over to where he wanted to be with 2311. He had to trade over basically a year of his career at RCR. He's not going to have the best equipment next year. Like I don't think so. With a brand new team, that team is going to have growing pains to begin with. And it's probably just going to be, it's kind of like be what the 8 team and with them going with that team at RCR in general, that they did to Daniel Hemrick for a year to get it ready for Reddick when he came into Cup as a rookie. And I think it's going to be the same thing, except Reddick to Austin Hill, if this is the case.
Go ahead.
I think Richard Childress is waiting and hoping 2311 buys out Reddick. I think that's what he's hoping for. He's hoping that at some point over the winter, Kurt Busch says, hey, I'm still not cleared to return. That's just not going to happen. And boom, Toyota swoops in, pays I can't imagine Reddick's contract is for more than a few $1 million. You know what I'm saying? I can't imagine Toyota will swoop in, pay what they have to, and RC will be off the hook. I think that's what he hopes
for. They weren't going to pay for Kyle Busch.
But Reddick's likely, even with Busch maybe taking a price reduction, he's probably far less expensive than Kyle Busch was. But I just think Richard Childress would have to pay money to either lease a charter or buy a charter, which I don't think you see him doing. That's $20 million, it sounds like. He's not spending that money, plus the money it would require to hire a crew chief, and of course pay for the parts and pieces that are going to be torn up and used up every single week. just to spite a guy for a year, you know, just to like give him that experimental stuff, have him run 20th. I don't think he really wants to do that. He might, per whatever legal agreement they might have, he might end up being stuck. If 2311 doesn't bite, he might be stuck doing something like that, but I don't think he wants to. I think he's hoping that 2311 buys Reddick's contract.
I would say I don't think that the initial reason for it is to spite him. I think spiting him is the cherry on top.
Sure.
I think it's setting up a new team with, again, as much as he doesn't like him, Reddick is a capable driver and Childers knows that. I think in a lot of ways, this is just a good way to set up the next driver coming in, whether they get a good free agent or if they bring Hill, like many are thinking they will.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. I just asked, like, I don't think RCR really wants to be a 3-car team right now. I just don't think that's really in their cards.
But they were a 1-car Xfinity team last year, and they become a 2-car team this year. They brought in 2 drivers that they wanted to develop. Where are they going to go? I feel like they only bring one of them up the cup. But maybe we're still waiting to hear what Colleague Racing is going to do. They have an alliance of RCR. We could see a scenario where Hill goes to Colleague and then Sheldon Creed eventually takes that 3rd car for RCR, or vice versa. You know, that's a scenario.
Or I raise you this: who else has just been added into the Chevy pipeline with full sponsorship that RCR has worked with before?
Brandon Jones.
Brandon Jones.
Yeah.
So
maybe they do want to be a 3-car team. Maybe they do. I don't know.
I'm just saying I don't want to just go in and like, he says one thing and we all just assume he means another. Like, I want to try and see from this other side, because there are ways this makes sense.
Sure.
They obviously have that side of them that wants to develop the future, or else they wouldn't have 2 Xfinity teams right now.
I just think Kyle Busch fell into their lap in the last couple of months. I think if they'd known all along Kyle Busch was going to be an option, they might have maneuvered the Xfinity stuff a little differently. That's just my guess. I think whatever plan RCR had 6 months ago has been changed in the last few months with this Kyle Busch update. So I just don't know. I don't know what they're thinking.
It's
fun.
Whether they buy or lease this 3rd charter depends on how much they want to focus on that future. But I do think it's going to come from that 77 car. I don't see a reason why a part-time 77 Spire car needs to be there next year.
That's the thing.
Either way, though,
RCR doesn't even have the charter yet. Like, how do we know that anyone's going to sell it to him? You know what I'm saying? Like, or lease it to him. Like, how do we know that's even going to be available?
If they want to sell it and cash in, now is the time for Spire to sell that one.
Man, Richard Children, how committed are they to being a 3-car team going forward? Because if they're
they
really committed to being a 3-car team, then sure, pay the money up front, buy it, spend the 20 mil, do what you got to do. Let Reddick drive it for a year, warm it up like Jarrett said. But I'm just not convinced they actually want to be a 3-car team yet. I feel like they spent a lot of money on Busch.
They have some drivers in the pipeline.
Yeah,
so
they
like,
do.
I mean, it kind of does make sense. Like, you know, hey, let's get this 3rd car and, you know, let's get either Hill or Creed in it, you know, for 2024.
One final note. Like, is anyone that excited about Austin Hill or Sheldon Creed? Austin Hill's okay. He ran well at Michigan, that one cup race he made. He didn't even finish like 15th or something. Like, or I don't remember where it was, but like, that was fine. But like,
unless I can get Vince Welch calling all of Sheldon Creed's races,
is United Rentals going to pay for the charter? Because if they do, then sure, maybe the Austin Hill to Cup. I get it.
Hey, look, it might not just they might not just be looking at the prospects. They might be looking at some other potential free agents. Maybe, see, you know, let's see how it goes with, you know, with Kyle Busch and the 8 team. And hey, if they start to take off, we might see some more interest from some upcoming free agents in NASCAR world.
I mean, so Austin Hill, Sheldon Creed, they're solid. Austin Hill, I like Austin Hill because he's older. He's like 28, right? I like that he's a little bit older, but I'm just.
But either way, though, I feel like it's going to be a tough season regardless next year for Tyler Reddick. Hey, you know, he's going to be relegated to that R&D car, but it's going to be entertaining for us to watch, though. And I'm also curious to see how they'll handle him, like in the meetings and stuff, because he is slated to leave after the season. So, like, how much information do you want?
I think they said when it comes to Reddick, he's not allowed in the meetings.
Oh, so he's not going to be allowed in the meetings for a year. You know what I mean?
Well, this is standard for any team. Like Brian Vickers isn't allowed in Hendrick meetings. Mm-hmm. Like it's just.
So it's going to be a lame duck year next year. Then I mean, if you can't get in the meetings to find out, hey, what are we doing here and there? Then I'm sorry, Reddick fans.
Again, I think Reddick knew that because when he signed up with 2311, this was before Kurt Busch was out. Like I think this was the plan. Hey, make a deal with the devil, be out for 1 year from the competitive state that you normally would be in to be in a better position long term. Like, I just can't wait to see the pettiness that Childress says. Why do I feel like Kyle Busch will win a race in the 8? And there's Childress will go, well, we're much more pleased with what happened with this driver of the 8 car.
I can see him doing that. Yeah, I can totally see him doing that. Yeah.
I'd love it.
I can't wait to see what happens. Silly season, I feel like, is just getting started. And as David Bell just sent in the chat, left a super chat, don't forget there are some 410 sprint car drivers some teams have their eyes on as well. So always looking in and outside of NASCAR. No, that's a good point. We appreciate that. Yeah. I think we've exhausted this Kyle Busch to RCR topic pretty well. There was a few interesting tidbits. He has it in his contract. He's allowed to run the Indy 500. So that's a possibility.
That's awesome.
Let that narrative run wild over the next few months. And Brexton Busch, his 7-year-old son, got a contract to drive for RCR one day.
That's got to be a record, right? A record for the youngest one.
Pretty crazy. Kind of piggybacking off this Kyle Busch news, it's been a rough week for Toyota. They lose Kyle Busch, their star driver, to a Chevy team. And then the next day, they lose Brandon Jones, not quite on the level of Kyle Busch, but a solid Xfinity driver who's brought a lot of funding to that team. Brandon Jones confirmed today he will sign with Junior Motorsports to drive the 9 car next year. What do you guys think? Do you think this is a good pickup for JRM first and foremost? Darian, what do you think?
I do. I think it's a solid pickup. Brandon Jones is not the flashiest driver in the world, but when you compare, his time at RCR a while back to his time at Joe Gibbs, massive improvement. I mean, granted, Joe Gibbs is, the better team, but in the Xfinity series, but still, he was able to improve. And yeah, I mean, he definitely brings the funding and stuff, no doubt, but I would put him over Michael Annett for sure. I've seen a lot of comparisons about between the two today and stuff. And no, I'd give the slight edge to Brandon Jones for sure. I think he'll do it. He'll have a solid season in that 9 car. I'd say a couple wins here and there, not a championship contender by any means, but hey, you know what? Hey, who knows? A lot of things happen in the playoffs. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, but definitely a solid pickup for
we got to see who else is in these cars. Cause Gregson's gone. He's going cup racing. Ty Gibbs likely gone, going cup racing.
So Mayer and Josh Berry, I think they're the only two. They're also confirmed as well.
They're in, and we assume Allgaier will be back as well.
Allgaier will likely be there.
But I'm just looking around. Like Allmendinger probably races again next year, but I'm not sure the Xfinity field will be quite as stacked as it was this year with Gibbs and Gregson winning all those races. So I think Brandon Jones could be good next year.
I feel like Gibbs's next guy is Sammy Smith. I feel like that's the one I need to invest in.
Yes.
I really like Brandon Jones. I can't remember if this was before we started the show or while we were on the air, but Jarrett mentioned being at Brandon Jones's first ever win. I was at what I think was maybe Brandon Jones's most impressive win, Phoenix 2020, right before the pandemic. He in that final run just outran Harrison Burton and Kyle Busch, they're his teammates, to win that race. I thought that was really impressive. He's won 5 times in his Xfinity career. And he's only 25 years old. This is his 7th full-time year in this series, and yet he's still very, very young. So Jarrett, do you think this is a decent pickup for JRM?
I do. I think that Brandon Jones is one. I think he's an overhated driver. I think he gets way too much hate. I think people think he's bad because he's a pay driver, when in reality, like we talked about, he has won before. He's a perennial playoff guy, which he should be in that JGR car. Yeah. So it's not like he's a Stephen Wallace here and he's crashing every week. Like, this guy in a lot of ways runs the way that Daniel Hemrick ran. Except he wins. So yeah, and he's going into what I would say in the Xfinity series is a better ride. I think JRM right now is the best team, hands down. And the only reason that they're getting competition from JGR is because Ty Gibbs is so damn good. So you put him in a car that he should win in, a car that has won, with a driver who has won. He wins like 1 or 2 races a year, it seems like. I don't see why he couldn't be an outside title threat when he's in one of like the 6 good cars in Xfinity that are expected to compete for a championship every year.
Yeah. And he's, I think 7th in points right now in a Gibbs car. So like you said, Jarrett, kind of on that edge, that top 6 or 7 great cars that you expect to contend for the title. Danny, I want to ask you, do you think this is a good move for JRM?
Yeah, I think it's a good move. At this point in his career, Brandon Jones is becoming a good Xfinity series veteran, even though he's still really young. How old is Brandon
25.
Jones?
25.
Yeah, he's younger than I am, but I would call him an Xfinity Series veteran at this point. He's been in the series for a long time. I'd about say I don't personally see him going to the Cup Series. I think he's a lifer in the Xfinity Series, but that might be good because Allgaier's getting to the point. I don't see him being around for many more years. Maybe this is their next lifer to be a JRM for a little while.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And definitely, side note, Ryan Williams, the creative designer for JRM, he's really talented at designing their cars. I'm looking forward to see what he can do with the Menards and Ream colors.
Yeah.
But again, just go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to transition a little bit. The Menards and Ream connection absolutely is key, I think, in this whole deal. Getting him over to JRM, that's big. It's also big because that's what Joe Gibbs Racing is losing.
I was just about to point that out. Yeah, unfortunately, Toyota, they lose that sponsorship.
So what happens to JGR's Xfinity program next year? Because I talked about this on my show today. Just a year ago, they were a 4-car team. Harrison Burton leaves with that Dex Imaging money, and they drop that car from competition. I hate to see the 19 car leave after losing this Menards money, but do you guys think Gibbs will still be a 3-car team next year?
If they go with Sammy Smith, he essentially brings everything that Michael Annett had.
It seems like it. I don't know his connection to the Flying J Pilot colors, but he seems to.
Hey, they sponsor him.
He's got Pilot Flying J, and there's that other car he's drove that it was also a sponsor that Michael Annett had. It was also part of that company. I think it's a black car with a gold logo, gold and red. I cannot remember the company name though.
I think I know what you're talking about, but yeah, I'm not sure either.
I'm in the same boat as Danny here with the Sammy Smith he'll probably be in the 18. I think that's their guy that they're really pushing next. After that, the 54 could be an all-star car. It was an all-star car before Ty Gibbs took it over.
Yeah.
And then you got the 19, which I think very well could be filled by somebody like John Hunter Nemechek, where they pick up a free agent.
To be fair, maybe the 54 goes away because that was originally a Kyle Busch number.
Oh yeah.
Maybe they bring the 20 back, put the 11
Maybe.
in the Xfinity Series.
But I think that team will stay in place. Is more what I'm saying. Like, I think that it will be they will be a 3-car team. I just think they'll have 2 full-time drivers.
And also we have some guys, we have some people in the chat mentioning, hey, don't forget about Corey Heim. He's shown, hey, he's already won in the truck series. So hey, who knows? Maybe they might just, throw him in Xfinity.
To be fair, Corey Heim has impressed me when I've seen him in trucks. I wouldn't consider not putting him in there.
He's not even full time in trucks though this year. He's doing kind of part-time schedules. I'd be a little afraid of that jump, but I mean, I guess there's no better way to learn than by
this is something to consider, and I guess it depends on what they want to do with their money. But I know the Safe Light deal. They were originally when they come into NASCAR, they were with Four Sport. They left Four Sport to go to KBM when Four Sport originally left to go to Ford because they had it in their contract they want to be with a Toyota team because I think Safe Flight has a deal with Toyotas to have Toyota vehicles, I think, for a lot of their work outside of their van fleet or whatever. So they have this connection with Toyota. Safe Flight appears to. So that makes me wonder, do they want to maybe jump up to the Xfinity Series and go with someone over there? Does Chandler Smith potentially get up there with Safe Flight funding?
Yeah, I would love to see him in Xfinity. I would love to see him full time. I think he's the real deal.
No, I like Chandler Smith quite a bit. It'll be interesting if he's in a Toyota or a Chevy or a something else next year, or if he's even in Xfinity next year. This could be pretty curious.
Yeah.
I think we can move on away from the silly season conversation.
Is that all the silly season news? Are you sure? Is that everything?
I mean, in a nutshell. But we still have a couple big things to address, and we're closing in on the 2-hour mark. The schedule was finally announced, revealed today for not only the Cup Series, but the Xfinity and Truck Series as well. So I'm going to touch on some of the highlights, and then I want to ask you guys some questions. I'm going to throw up on the screen for our viewers at home the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series schedule, opening with the Clash at the Coliseum at February 5th. A lot of the key dates we already knew. The playoffs, actually, as you can see, I highlighted in yellow, beginning with Darlington, ending at Phoenix, unchanged from this year. The exact same 10 races on roughly the exact same weekends. But the big changes, of course, we already knew about. The Chicago Street Race in July, North Wilkesboro being the all-star race. We did find out today that the Auto Club race in February will be the final race on the 2-mile layout. It sounds like that is confirmed. And Texas, my home track of Texas, has lost a date for the first time since 2004. We'll only race them once.
Our bullying worked.
North Wilkesboro back from the dead, y'all.
I'm just gonna say this doesn't happen if the leadership there didn't change a few years ago.
That might be true. Eddie Gossage would freaking nail himself to the start finish line until he let them remove a date. A couple other tidbits. The Martinsville Spring Race apparently will become a Sunday afternoon race this year after it being a night race this season. And then the Richmond and Indianapolis road course summer dates have swapped as well. So Indianapolis is now in August towards the end of the regular season. And then the Atlanta summer race, they announced would be a night race, which I think is going to be pretty cool to see pack racing at 1.5 miles under the lights. I'm excited about that. But that's the Cup schedule. I mean, not a whole lot of new stuff there. Anything really to react to, or do you guys want to move on to Xfinity?
I mean, very diverse. Yeah. I like it.
I'll just say this. I like the move of putting Martinsville in the day. I personally, as much as I like going to Martinsville and his night races can be fun to go to, I think I know this is an unpopular opinion. I don't care. I'm going to say I think night races are overrated.
Well, and also according to the according to the ratings too, it's better to not run them.
It's good for tracks to have lights for the availability to run at night if need be.
Because it does rain. It rained. Did it rain this year for the?
Yeah, we had about an hour and a half delay.
That's right. Yeah,
Hey,
so there's always that possibility.
Oddly enough, we'll get into this part later, but the weather this weekend for the Bristol night race, which traditionally is plagued by rain, looks amazing this weekend.
That's big. You had me worried for a second there. Let's move on to the Xfinity schedule. The Xfinity and truck schedules that were revealed today is really where some of the excitement rests. So I'm gonna flash this up on screen. The Xfinity race, it was confirmed today. They will accompany the Cup cars at the Chicago street course over July 4th weekend. So I don't know. That's going to be the next gen built for road courses, tight corners. Not the Xfinity cars, not so much. We'll see how that works out. Also, Road America. They will race at Road America. So Road America is not completely off the NASCAR schedule. They have 8 road courses set for next year, which is, I believe, an increase of 1 or 2 over this year. They have Kansas now as the regular season finale. Bristol, instead of being the regular season finale this year, will be the first race of the playoffs next year. And they will also race at Sonoma for the first time ever. That is in, where is that? June 10th. I see it on the schedule now. June 10th, the Xfinity cars will race at Sonoma. So some pretty exciting stuff here as well. I noticed Portland is back. I think there were some questions about that because it's so far out in the Pacific Northwest. It was a little sloppy at times this year for sure, but Portland is back. So fans out there will be excited. Any thoughts, guys?
I remember in one of our chats, a certain NASCAR driver, not to be named, told us there was going to be a lot of squiggles in the Xfinity series this year.
And he was not wrong. 8 road courses. Do you guys think that's too much, or do you like that the road course has a little different identity?
Look, I mean, we've been racing on ovals for so many years. I'll play devil's advocate here and say, look, I like the diversity in the Cup Series, and I also like it in Xfinity as well, because don't they have the same amount of road courses, correct? 8 on the schedule for 8. Cup and Xfinity.
Does Cup have 8? I don't. Let me see.
Cup, do they? I don't know.
Cup probably only has 6.
Cup had 6.
Oh, okay. It might just be 6, but still, either way, I like the diversity in both schedules.
Pretty good. And also, just got a big super chat from Totus. I just wanted to say thank you for that. We'll get to the rest of super chat shortly.
That's a very cute little gif of what is that? A bird on a firework? What is this?
I think it's a pear. I don't know. Anyway, off topic. Sorry, Jarrett. Where were you going?
Go ahead.
I'll say I think it's entirely too many. NASCAR fans have showed they have road course fatigue. So what does NASCAR do? They basically make a quarter of the schedule road courses for Xfinity. Like, I don't think that's the right move. I think if you're going to have some give and take on it, maybe move Xfinity to IRP so you can take one of those road courses off and replace it with another. I like that they're keeping Road America. I will say, I think that having Portland and Sonoma back to back, having 2 straight West Coast races, granted at different ends of the country, maybe that can save the teams money. I know that they were in a hole last year because of the trip out to Portland. So maybe that might be a help for them.
That's a good point.
And then having that mini summer West Coast swing right before a bye week probably helps too. Overall, there was one thing that, and I know that it's the way that it lined up, but there's one thing that I don't like about the schedule. And I know it really wasn't NASCAR's fault. It's just the way the calendar lined up. I don't like Bristol being the first race of the playoffs. I like it being a cutoff before the playoffs.
Ooh.
I think it's better as a cutoff race. If Bristol's going to be in the playoffs and Cup, has to be a cutoff race. If it's going to be, outside the playoffs, should be the cutoff race right before them. Bristol is a track, that's proven me wrong from 2020. That was a relatively boring race in Cup. It is a track that, when you add those stakes to it, makes it that much more epic to watch on TV as a fan, watching everything go on.
I agree.
I know they couldn't help it, but man, I wish it was the cutoff like it is this year.
Yeah, this will actually be my first night race since the 2019 night race that I've been able to go to. So I'm looking forward to seeing all the drama up close in person this weekend.
The first time we all met, that was memorable.
Oh, beautiful. Bring a tear to my eye when I have to talk about the truck schedule. The trucks went nuts.
The Craftsman truck series now.
Can I just say, we were talking about the Texas stuff. Technically, they do have 2 NASCAR weekends.
Yes,
they do.
Yes.
I'm glad Coda is back. I'm very happy that Coda is here.
No. I'm talking about Texas Motor Speedway.
Oh,
Technically, they have a spring NASCAR weekend. So if that was in writing, technically NASCAR gave that to them.
And that April date, is that the one that we saw just before the show that is going to be shared with IndyCar potentially?
Mm-hmm.
That's exciting. Yep. Yeah, IndyCar. We saw this just before we went live. According to Racer.com, signed a multi-year deal with Texas Motor Speedway. So when we talk about Texas reconfiguring, that might eliminate the super speedway conversation, because I don't think IndyCar is racing at a high bank Texas Motor Speedway.
No,
I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
Just put it back how it was.
Maybe that's all they end up doing. We'll see.
That's all you need to do.
Sorry, back to the truck series schedule. I threw it up on screen for a moment.
I love the playoff schedule. I love it.
Yeah. So a couple points before we get to that. They're racing at North Wilkesboro the Saturday night before the All-Star race. This is the first NASCAR points race at the track since they left there in 1996. But then, when you look at the playoffs, they've got IRP to open the playoffs, and then the Milwaukee Mile. So NASCAR fans in Wisconsin, they didn't forget about you. Yeah, the Cup race at Road America is gone, and that's a little disappointing. I agree. But they've got Road America for the Xfinity cars and the Milwaukee Mile for the trucks. That's pretty awesome.
Jarrett, seeing how close your family was to Milwaukee Mile, are you going to go?
I don't know, because it's a day after Daytona, so I don't know what I'm going to choose on that one.
Difficult. Notice there's only one dirt race, Bristol Dirt, April 8th. They do not have a Knoxville date.
I think that is a move that everyone is fine with.
That's for the best. Yeah, that's for the best.
But there you have it. No, the trucks and Xfinity, a lot of excitement for sure.
Hey, look, the playoff schedule. The playoff schedule is awesome. Just don't have the first round take 2 friggin' months to finish, please.
Yeah. There are a lot of off weeks, a lot of gaps. You notice the playoffs don't start in early August, and meanwhile the Cup playoffs, if I'm not mistaken, don't begin until late September, early September. Okay, so they start about a month before the Cup series does.
That's better. Okay.
It's not terrible, but they do still have a lot of off weeks. Gateway, I forgot to mention Gateway is back for all 3. I think for all 3. Is Xfinity racing Gateway?
I believe so.
No, they're not. Not according to the graphic I made. So the trucks and Cup are racing Gateway. So at least that track is back. That's good as well. But yeah, I think that's going to do it. Any final thoughts on the 2023 schedules?
Hey, look, I love the diversity in the Cup Xfinity series. The truck series playoffs are going to be very interesting, especially the first round. That's going to be freaking awesome. But yeah, no, overall, I'm pleased with it. There's a few tracks that I wish they would have either kept or added on, but hey, they'll eventually do it. Chicagoland will eventually be back on the NASCAR schedule. Just be patient.
And on that note, we did they did an interview with Ben Kennedy we saw also right before we went live, where he said that it's not if, it's when they return to the Indianapolis Oval. So the Brickyard 400 will one day, it sounds like, make its triumphant return.
Yes.
Just not next year.
As well as Mexico and Canada, one or the other that I think they're saying for 24.
Hey, a return to Canadian Tire maybe? Or
Lord
Mexico?
Foxy just sent a $2 Canadian super chat and said no Canadian Tire or anything for Canada. Cries in Canadian. So hopefully brighter days are ahead for you, Lord _Foxy 13.
Hopefully.
Oh, Canada.
I want to turn things over to Jarrett. He brought this topic up before we went live, but there has been some new news regarding NASCAR's negotiations with various networks regarding the 2025 and beyond TV deal. Jarrett, do you want to kind of touch on some of this a little bit before we get into picks?
Yeah, I can roll through it really quick. So going into this, one of the things that popped up this week, Adam Stern reported on it, was that NASCAR and the RTA have actually retained some media consultants for the upcoming TV contract negotiations. Each entity has a different person that they're and group that they're consulting. But the big change here is that this is the first time since NASCAR has had more of a unified, connected contract since the 2001, 2007, and the current deal, that the teams have actually entered in as almost like a third party. Now, currently the teams get 25% of the money from the TV contracts, while tracks get 65%, and NASCAR as an entity itself gets 10%. Of course, NASCAR owning ISC gets a lot of that money too. Where I'm kind of wondering here is, could this make it really ugly? Because when you have not just two parties working together, but then a third party coming in that actually has some pull now, I'm starting to wonder, like, could there be a bit, because they are starting this stuff up really, honestly, really late compared to other contract negotiations that they have. Like, what will the fallout end up being of this? Because if the teams get more money, but the fans have to pay for more races, that's just going to hurt NASCAR. Now, one thing that I will say, well, two things I should say, that we know so far. Steve Phelps and NASCAR said their goal is to make this another 8 to 10 year deal. They're not going to do the IndyCar route of going like 3 years and having the ability to change it up. And then they do want live streaming to be more of a role in the new deal. Where I would be for that is if it's an easy free option or an add-on option to television, because streaming in and of itself cannot support the sport right now. I get everybody wants a streaming service for everything, and I get that it's a companion thing, but I think that the current model of streaming services, in my opinion, is dumb. When you have hundreds of different streaming services that everyone has to pay $5 on, stuff adds up over time. And I don't think NASCAR has the pull right now to make that work as just having that as their main option, like many want it to be. I mean, just look at the estimated viewers IndyCar gets on Peacock when it's Peacock exclusive.
Yeah,
it's abysmal. So
yeah, the whole 8 to 10 year thing, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, like, wait, how long was the last TV deal we're currently
10.
under? Yeah,
We're in a 10-year deal.
Look,
we're
I mean,
currently under a deal that was constructed back when all of us were like in high school.
Yeah. And the whole media landscape was a lot different back then. I mean, like, if you're going to do this deal, at least have some wiggle room with it, where if, certain changes are necessary, then, you definitely need to implement them. But I don't know. I would rather go with like, shorter term deals, but I mean, like, they're trying to get as much money as possible. But I think it's awesome though that these teams have hired somebody to help them out with the TV negotiations. I mean, right now, 25% of the TV money is what these teams get. I think, like, obviously, if they do get a little bit more, perhaps ticket prices will be up a little bit as well. But, also when you think about it too, if they're able to get more money, some of these teams won't necessarily have to hire pay drivers neither. They can go after just pure talent too. So that's another thing I'm thinking about. But definitely need to find a balance though. Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind the long-term deal. I think that's better for stability. If you know what's going to, like, you have that knowledge, you know what you're going to be making 5, 7, 8 years from now. I think that's good. Having the teams involved more in the discussions, like, they're not going to lobby against their best interests. Like, I think they understand that if they, if the races end up behind a paywall too frequently, behind an external and extra streaming service, less viewership means that sponsors like FedEx will not get their money's worth. And so it'll be harder to find sponsorship when only 500,000 people are going to watch this race. So I think teams being there is healthy for the conversation, but we'll have to wait and see. I guess we don't know. It is, while maybe this is somewhat late in the process to be having a third group enter into the conversation, it's still, almost a year and a half away from, it's 2.5 years away really from this year, a deal actually going into place.
I kind of bring it up like this. The current deal we have now, they started negotiations in 2010. And that deal started not now, not 2010, 2012, I should say, is when like that 15. Was signed. Yeah, it was signed and ready to go at the end of 2012, ready to go 2015, to kind of put it in comparison.
I think it's okay to wait a little bit longer. I don't think that's a big issue. Even Steve Phelps has said that negotiations, he didn't expect to heat up until next year anyways. So I think if by the end of next year there's no real progress being made, no indication of any front runners or perhaps nothing signed, that's when you're like, okay, this seems a little strange. But I don't know. NASCAR will be on TV in 2025. I'm convinced.
Yeah,
but it's just hopefully it works out for the teams. You want them to get a higher percentage. Right now they get only 25 or so percent of the TV contract. Most of it's going to the tracks. And yeah, you hope that gets weighed a little bit differently in the new deal.
Yeah, I wanted not as much to say there was something to worry about, just to let people know, like each of the last three contracts, the major ones, have been signed like 2 years before they start. So gives about a year before we should actually start really worrying.
Sounds good to me. On that note, we've just passed the 2-hour mark.
We're in overtime, man.
We've got to talk about Bristol. We've got to make our picks for what is the Cup Series cutoff race for the first round. It's the regular season finale for the Xfinity Series, and then what is it? The first race of the next round for the trucks. I don't know. As Isaac sent a super chat a moment ago, I thought we were racing at Bristol 2 weeks ago. For reference to Chase Elliott. But we're back at Bristol, my favorite track, for some very exciting and very important races. So let's go through some of the details before we all make our picks. The truck race is the UNOH 200 presented by Ohio Logistics. It's 200 laps. It'll be 9 p.m. Eastern time on FS1. What day is it on? Is it on Thursday? It's on Thursday, right?
Tomorrow.
Yes, it's tomorrow. Weather right now, 81 degrees, no chance of rain. Chandler Smith won the most recent race at Bristol. The Xfinity race on Friday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, USA, PRN. It's the Food City 300 laps, 83 degrees. Again, almost no chance of rain, 4%. AJ Allmendinger won this race last year. Remember that dramatic finish, sliding, crashing across.
One of the greatest Bristol finishes ever. I love it.
Outstanding stuff. And then the Cup race on Saturday, the Bass Pro Shops night race, 500 laps, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, again on USA and PRN. As Danny said earlier, great weather, high of 82, 10% chance of rain. Kyle Larson won this race last year. Remember that dramatic battle between Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick, and then Chase Elliott screwing around a little bit afterwards. Kyle Larson was the beneficiary. Darian, who are the favorites according to Las Vegas this weekend?
Oh, yes. The betting odds on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Denny Hamlin enters as this weekend's favorite at plus 650 to win. Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott are both plus 750. Kyle Busch plus 800, as well as Christopher Bell. And then as for the best of the rest, Kevin Harvick plus 900, Tyler Reddick plus 1200, Ross Chastain, William Byron, and Ryan Blaney are also plus 1500. As for the underdogs, Bubba Wallace enters this weekend at plus 2500, Daniel Suarez plus 4000, Ty Gibbs plus 5000, Michael McDowell, all hell McDowell supremacy, plus 10,000. And finally, I put this in there for fun, Cody Ware enters this weekend at plus 100,000. So yeah, hey, miracles like that. Hey, miracles happen sometimes. So if you want to do something, go for it. But as for the NWP Fantasy League, Trevor Sports 98 is building quite a gap in the overall standings. Nice. He is in the points lead over 48 Nation, followed by Toyota Tough, Jets 48, and RPG Racing 2. As for the playoff standings, Larson Fan 5 is leading at 497 points. Dandy B Wife, aka Claudia's P2, just 10 points behind at 487. Keegan Schneider YouTube is in third. Railhawk 56 in fourth, and also tied for fourth is the overall points leader, Trevor Sports, and 98. So, and also Danny B, you're in P10 there too in the playoff standing. So not a bad start. And I am nowhere to be found. But hey, it's all good. Glad everyone else is having fun. Thank you guys so much for playing this season.
All right. Now we do our NASCAR Weekly Podcast Fantasy League. We also keep track of points here on the show. I know the chat's been looking forward to this bit. With just 8 weekends to go, I still lead. I have 484 total points. The chat, though, gained a couple, minus 12. Danny comfortably in third now, minus 71. Darian in fourth, minus 79. And Jarrett not too far behind, minus 83.
Hey, I wouldn't say Danny's comfortable yet. He used to be.
I think this one hurt me from making that comeback that Jarrett was talking about, but I can still try to hang on to this spot.
Hey, but you
Chat
know what?
didn't pick Gregson. Dang.
Compared to last season, though, this has been a very competitive year for the pick points because wasn't it like separated by like 100 something?
I think I
had a
was
big
down.
lead.
Yeah.
I was down by nearly 200 points last year.
Oh, yeah, this is
Yeah.
way more competitive.
I had like a 43-point lead on Eric going
Yeah.
into the last week of the year.
Oh my goodness.
I
That
think
was
it's
pretty dominant.
It's the parody this year. It
Hey,
exists on our show as well.
Cool. Yeah,
Good stuff.
everybody stepped up their game, it seems like.
So we'll go in order of points, although chat, you guys get the advantage. I call it an advantage, wink, of going last. Sorry, I'm just trying to play mind games with them. Get them to pick Eric Almirola again. I guess that means I lead things off. We'll start with the Truck Series winner. I'm going with the guy who won last time. I think Chandler Smith, great short track racer. He's broken through and won multiple races this year. I think this one's got his name written all over it. I'll go Chandler.
Yeah, I too want to go Chandler Smith on this one. Part of me wanted to go Carson Hocevar because it's like that'd be kind of what something he would do, be out of the playoffs and then win. But I think Chandler Smith and just the 18 truck in general, it's hard to beat at Bristol.
It'll be Carson Hocevar's time, another time, not this weekend. But I will pick another Toyota truck driver. John Hunter Nemechek will make it 2 in a row at Bristol.
This guy's going to be really overlooked, but I think that he is a product of how good his team has been at Bristol. Top 2 in the last 3. This team has led the most laps in every one of those Bristol races as well. And this driver is really good at Bristol, consistent. I'm going Grant Enfinger with GMS.
Yes.
I like that
good
pick.
one. As for the chat, I'm seeing,
I think they're going John Hunter.
Hey, I see a few Matty D's though.
I do like
There's
that.
a few.
Matty D's
Yeah.
great here in the Cup Series.
Yeah, finished runner up here.
I like the idea. I don't like it in that equipment just yet.
Yeah.
I think it's John Hunter. There's some 51s.
Yeah, they're going.
and there's
Yep,
some
yep, John
18s.
Hunter. Yeah, might as well give him John Hunter. All right.
Go for
We're in
it.
the same boat again.
So let's move on to the Xfinity race Friday night. Remember, guys, trucks are tomorrow night, 24 hours, less than that, I think, even truck series.
Less,
but
yep.
then Friday night is the Xfinity series. And this guy just feels like he's been on a roll the last couple months. I don't know. Maybe it's boring, but I think Noah Gragson.
I like the idea, but I can't go with him to do it 3 weeks in a row. Instead, I'm going to go with one of his teammates, Josh Berry. He's been kind of on a dry spell, but this suits well into his short track background.
Would this be a home race for him?
Fairly local. Nashville Super Speedway is more or less
the
home track, but it is in his home state of Tennessee. So we'll go with Josh Berry.
Hey, you guys all went with this guy last week. I'm going to go with him this week. I think Ty Gibbs will redeem himself after the Kansas loss.
Yeah, I like the JRM train, so I'm going to stick on that one. This guy's been really good no matter what he races at Bristol. I think he's a better driver now than he was last year, and he ran pretty damn good. I'm going to go with Sam Mayer.
Oh, yeah.
I was hoping someone would pick him.
I was thinking about him. Yeah.
I'm going out on limbs.
I was torn, and when I said I wasn't going to go with Gregson, I could see it in Jared's eye. I was like, I know he's going with Mayer.
I knew somebody would pick him. He's won here before, so
he's a good driver here.
Yeah.
Chat is kind of all over the place. Do you guys see an obvious front runner?
I see a few. Well, I see a couple 99s.
I'm seeing a lot of 1.
I see the same guy putting a lot of 98s, but 98 isn't a bad choice, honestly. He finished that one.
I feel like I see a lot of. I feel like I see a lot of. I thought I saw a lot of Josh Berry's. I see a lot of Allgaiers, a lot of Gibbs. Maybe it's Gibbs. They might be going Ty Gibbs.
Well, go 54 V7 because I'll be honest, Allgaier's a really good pick too.
So put out a poll, I guess. Allgaier versus Ty Gibbs.
Yeah, we'll do Gibbs versus Allgaier. We'll see where they go.
Yeah,
there were a lot of Mayers at first, but I think those kind of teetered off.
Yeah, I saw those going away real quick.
Yeah.
All right, we'll leave that up for a moment. In the meantime, we'll get into the first couple rounds of our Cup picks. As we always do, we start with our Who's Gonna Suck This Week pick. I like to pick a playoff guy, someone who's relevant, who I think may struggle a little bit. I'm leaning... I didn't really give this one much thought. I feel like I'll just go Austin Dillon. Is he good at Bristol?
I think he's decent.
Off the top of my head, I don't think of
Decent,
him being a
really.
great Bristol guy. Let me look up his stats so I don't sound like I'm just talking. You can go next, Danny.
So I've seen this guy run great at Bristol, and he does come in with a much more comfortable playoff cushion at this point. But I've also seen him leave on a wrecker a ton too at Bristol. So for that reason, I'm going to say Ryan Blaney to suck this weekend.
Yeah.
Austin Dillon does have a 4th and a 6th at Bristol.
Oh yeah, pretty decent.
But I think those are his only top 10. He's one of their top 10.
Oh,
When were those? When was the most?
yeah.
He 2020 finished 6th.
Oh well, that was that round where he was kind of like on a roll. So
that was
yeah.
in May. So no, yeah, the year
Oh,
he was on a roll
May.
was 20, right? He finished 12th in this race.
That one he was running well, but everybody got caught a lap down because there was a caution during pit stops.
that's right.
Good call. All right, I don't like my pick as much, but I'm gonna stick with it because I don't know.
All right, so we got Austin Dillon and Ryan Blaney so far.
No takes.
All right, so since we're sticking to playoff drivers, I'm going to go with a Storehouse Racing driver, not Kevin Harvick, but Chase Briscoe. I know he's only -9 outside the cut line, but as we've seen at Darlington, you never know what type of run you are going to get from that team, and I don't see it this weekend.
Last time he was at Bristol, it didn't end well. Granted, there was dirt everywhere, but
yeah, a little bit different this time.
I'm not sticking with the program of going to playoff drivers. I'm going to go with the guy who has run well here before, but recently has not. I think he's going to get his 10th DNF of the season, Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
That season's video definitely happened for sure.
The thing is like he runs well and then crashes out. Like I'm not trying to rip on him, but it's a crazy stat. And I had to force it in here a little bit.
He really has 9 DNFs though. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like Jay McMurray 04 when he wasn't doing good, he was crashing.
Yeah, because I mean Stenhouse, looking at it, has 5 top 10s on the year. He's, honestly, he's for the most part when he's not out of the race, he's out running guys like
last week he was running great, and then
downhill. He's had like 4 or 5 races like that. Like I don't think he's a playoff guy, but at the same time, he's not as bad as his numbers show.
But as for the chat, I think
they're
definitely going with the. They're definitely going with the Ford driver.
I'm just giving him Almirola at this point.
Yeah, just give him Almirola.
They're smart.
Dark horse picks. Let's dive right in. It worked out well last week. I think Bubba Wallace. We remember what he did here in the 43 car back in the day. Led some laps.
2018, just straight up past Kyle Busch.
Yeah,
that's right.
I can't help but think about that. I'll keep Bubba Wallace, and I guess at this point he's still a dark horse. I guess he's not in the playoffs. His car may be, but I'll go Bubba.
On that same note, he almost won this in the 77 as run good and Joe Gibbs equipment. Why not the 43 of Eric Jones to do well?
I'm gonna go with one of these suck picks from you guys. Hey, look, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Look, yes, he's might be on the verge of his 10th DNF, but he also runs very well at times too. I would like to think that he will finally complete this run, and based on his history, he's had some pretty solid some solid finishes at Bristol. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is my dark horse.
I'm going to go with Eric Jones as well. I think that team this year has been good enough to compete for wins everywhere they go, and this is one of Jones' best tracks. He very easily could be the guy who steals the thunder away again from the playoff field.
Yeah.
I think the chat's either Bubba or Jones. I'm confident they're not going to pick either to win. I'd give them Jones. I think I'm seeing more of those sneak in here as we've gone.
Yeah, just give him Jones. Why not? Just give him Jones.
There's been some Suarez's as well. I do want to give Suarez a shot. They're not going his way.
Now, I do want to say, even though he's going to not run it as hard as he would his Xfinity car, I wouldn't put it past Ty Gibbs to have a good run this weekend.
Oh yeah, and then speaking of Ty Gibbs too, I think they've decided in the poll as well.
I was going to say, before we get into our Cup Series pick, the chat has picked Ty Gibbs as their Xfinity winner
at 54% versus 45.
Hey.
That's good luck.
How about that? How about that working out that way?
Yeah, that's cool. What are the odds? All right, folks, we are at that moment in the show where we decide who's gonna win. Who's gonna win at Bristol, Eric?
Oh boy. It's been a long summer for this guy. Hasn't run very well, been very up and down, very inconsistent. Had a career worst 8-week stretch statistically, but finally, at long last, a weight is off his shoulders. Kyle Busch has a deal for next season. The world knows he doesn't have to answer the same questions every single week and psych himself out. He's in a difficult point situation below the cut line, but he's rolling into his best statistical racetrack. Kyle Busch wins his second race of the season. He sweeps Bristol. Dirt, concrete, don't matter. Kyle Busch.
I've been thinking this one for quite a few weeks now, and this guy is long overdue for a points victory here. Champ of the concrete this year, Chase Elliott.
Good one.
He's won the All-Star race, and he has come so close to winning that night race before. This is the one he finally gets it.
This has been a spectacular season of parity. We have 18 different winners. The last two, well, the first two in the playoffs, non-playoff winners. I think we'll break that streak, but I think we'll have a different winner. This guy, he's ran up front at Bristol in the past, and he could have won the race back in 2018 if not for some lap cars taking him out. Last year in this race, he finished fourth, led some laps. He just couldn't find that extra speed in the final stage there. I think he will this time, and with him winning, we'll finally tie the all-time record of 19 different winners. Ryan Blaney finally gets his first win of the season.
I'm going to stick with Danny's pick as well, Concrete Chase. I mean, he's been so consistently good at Bristol. I was there when he won the All-Star race with you guys. I think that Elliott is going to get the win this weekend. He's going to right the ship into the next round.
Why does that sound like a great character for Bob the Builder, Concrete Chase?
I'm saying we got to come up with a better name that like the alliterate, like Concrete Clyde. Who coined that one? I think Boyer or somebody said that.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear the chat is also going with me and Jared on this one. They're going with Elliott.
Is it clear? I thought I saw it. Maybe they just went a lot of Elliott's.
I've seen a ton of Elliott.
Okay, I saw a lot of Harvicks and Bushes earlier, but yeah, right. It definitely seems a little more 9.
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to do Busch if you pick Busch.
Well, that's fair. That's probably true. All right, Chase Elliott for the chat. So we got 3 Elliotts being picked. I'm going with Kyle Busch, and I like Darian's pick of Ryan Blaney, something a little interesting. Tie that record with 19 different winners. That's good stuff. I think that's going to do it for our weekend preview. It's time for our final Super Chat stage break. This is a NASCAR Weekly podcast after dark a little bit. I know we're closing in on 2.5 hours. Next week's show will be on the Icebergs channel. We'll talk all about Bristol. We'll preview the upcoming weekend at Texas. It'll be the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, but on the Icebergs channel. We appreciate all of your support at home. So let's get to the remaining Super Chats. We've got a ton. I'm going to do my best to get through them all. Where did we leave off? Right here. The Dom Goblin sent 2 earlier and said, the era of the Bushinator is upon us. Talking about Kyle Busch to RCR. I like that. Andrew Mayer, thanks for the 5. With the addition of North Wilkesboro, there are 8 short tracks, 7 paved, and 1 dirt. 9 or 10 is my perfect number, but baby steps first. If we can get those short track package with this next gen car down perfect, then yes, 9, 10, 11 short tracks, that's beautiful. I think, 8, 1 being a dirt track. Right way going forward. I think so, for sure. I don't know if that does that number include the Clash at the Coliseum? I'm not sure if that, I doubt it does, or it probably does, but either way, that's pretty cool. Rowdy18 Diecast, I reacted to this one earlier. Kyle Busch fan, this year has been pain. Napa Racing fan 927 sent 10. Was the Bristol dirt race a sign that Busch would sign with RCR in the 8? Briscoe took out Reddick for KFB to win. Then KFB said, I feel like I'm Dale Sr. getting booed, and I didn't even do anything.
It's funny how that aged, though, now that he's with the team.
That aged well.
Yeah.
We mentioned Shorty PJM earlier, big Bubba Wallace fan. By the way, I'm a girl. Year of the Jolo.
I want to say
also a Logano fan.
Think it was maybe one of me or one of us accidentally. It's hard to tell in the profile picture, so I apologize for that one.
Oh no, yeah, no worry. I mean, I just think it's remarkable that she's a Bubba and a Logano fan. I don't know where other allegiances she has. Garabuki, don't know if I'm saying that right, sent 10 and then sent another 10 and said if it was Logano instead of Chastain at Kansas, no one would have batted an eye, just like how Ross bumping Denny was a bigger sin than Logano shoving Byron into the wall at the first chance he got. I agree. Some people may be going the other way, but I agree with you. that, well, at least on the Ross bumping Denny versus Logano bumping Byron, I think they're equal. I thought Logano was too far bumping Byron, but I'm with you. Chastain has a reputation. And the Kansas deal, him sliding up in front of Harvick, I think people are going to look at it a little different because it's Ross Chastain. But in a lot
he breathes. It's his fault.
Well, as Darian has said, he's kind of earned that reputation at this point, and there's not.
That's who he is, man.
Exactly. It's not going to be easy to kind of get rid of that before too long. TJ Moore's Head, thanks for the 5. The very small amount of Saturday night races on the schedule compared to years past, I'm beginning to miss them. Well, he disagrees with your hot take, Jarrett.
It's there for a reason. It's there for a reason, man.
Ratings haven't been good. That's a big one. But the aesthetic of a Saturday night race, I actually don't mind. I kind of like.
It looks good.
It's nice, but the TV ratings will suggest.
Well, the racing a lot of the times isn't as good.
Yeah, I guess that's usually true. Marky Mark, thanks for the 2. Bristol will give me diarrhea. It's tense. That's a visual we didn't need to see, but we are.
Hey, go to the doctor. Get yourself checked out.
NWP after dark.
Bristol.
Nova Stone 12 said NASCAR needs more 1.5 miles not to get rid of them. It's like I in the Twilight Zone. Whoa.
We were talking in 2018 about getting a lot of them off that schedule.
Wow, things happen fast. Things change quickly. Zach Taylor, thanks for the 5. So happy for Bubba Wallace to win on a 1.5 miles and with no rain, and I didn't hear any boos. Yeah, on TV it did sound like mostly cheers. I didn't really hear any jeering or anything for him winning. So seemed like a popular win. Debbie Cox, thanks for the 5. I'm local for the Kansas races. Our section 257 loves Chase, but I'm always happy for a new winner. So see, even a non-Bubba fan was cheering, it sounds like. So yeah,
there you go.
That backs up Zach's comment as well. I'm glad those were back to back. That's interesting. Sorry, Danny, but Jupiter Rain sent 2 and said, imagine being
I saw this one.
Imagine being a Titans and a Bowman fan, both mid.
Oh no.
Damn.
Wow.
Imagine watching both blow an early lead on the same day.
And I hate for this one to be the very next one, but Miles Gurley, I read the first half of this super chat earlier about, Gregson, is he the title favorite? We kind of answered that earlier, but thinking long term, could he potentially make it to HMS down the road, potentially replacing Bowman?
He can't catch a break. Bowman just had his most complete race, and y'all still want to get rid of him, bro.
I always had some joking in my Kyle Busch to the 48.
They're serious,
I can't tell if y'all are serious.
man.
At this point, fired him, man. The fans say he's trash.
Never listen to the fans. Jared Sanders,
not all the time.
Thanks for the 2. You never know. You never know if an NWP member will have a sunglasses tan. I think he's looking at you, Jared. Just slightly. I got some sun today though, but I was wearing a hat, so I don't think it's too bad.
The lighting hides it a lot more than it actually is. Like if you were here in person, like I'm pretty sure the lizards we have out in the other room have less scales on them than me.
Oh my god. This one from, and I'm not gonna say this correctly, I apologize. Leaf Opstad. My 3 favorite drivers, Bubba, DH, and Bell, finished 1, 2, 3 on Sunday. And my Huskies, Mariners, and Seahawks all won last weekend. Amazing. That sounds like a great time. Nice. Congratulations. Jack Flynn, thanks for the 2. With KBM gone, TRD has no development program. 31 supremacy. Is that Justin Haley, Jordan Anderson Racing? What are we talking about here?
You can't force it. McDowell's the only one. I yelled that during driver intros when I was down on the tri-oval, and I had all these people looking at me like I was crazy. They just don't understand yet.
Leaf Opstad also sent you this one, Darian. Darian, I'm counting on you ending the drought this month for NR Night in America.
No hey, look, man. Dude, I have the longest winless streak there. I run up front. I just can't win, bro. I can't close the deal, bro.
Good to see Barry here. Sent 10. He says Vince Welsh belongs in a, I don't know what that word means, in a home. So either way, it's probably not very nice.
In a nursing home or something?
It's a word I don't recognize, and since I don't recognize it and it's coming from this account, I'm not going to say it out loud in front of
don't risk
800
it.
people.
Don't risk it.
M. Martin fan for life, thank you for the 5. NASCAR slump is directly the result of TV's, Fox's, idea to try and gimmick up the broadcast instead of having respect for the race and the fans. I agree that's a contributing factor, especially in recent years. Is it the only one? I don't think so. There have been years where ratings were booming and they were still doing their typical Fox, shtick. But it's contributing, in my opinion. I don't know about if you guys have any varied ones, but we've talked about that quite a bit in the past. Sly Supersonic, always good to see you. Sent $13.52. Hello, Fantastic Four. How are y'all doing? Doing pretty good.
Hello.
Did you guys see that?
Fantastic Four.
Did you guys see that Richard and Kyle RCR trailer where Kyle's name is being put above the door? Then they both walk out and shake hands while looking at the camera. That was pretty awesome. I love that it was in front of a black number 8. They're really playing that up.
Yeah,
I like
that was cool. That was cool, man.
Side note, which Fantastic Four characters are we?
Have we figured that out
Well,
yet?
apparently right now, because of my sunburn, I'm the rock one.
I feel like I'm the stretchy guy because I have long
Yeah,
arms.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
so-
you're Mr. Fantastic.
Hey,
Okay.
what is the
Mary
wo-
and Eric?
Yeah, what does the woman do though? What is the woman? What's her
She
superpower?
turns invisible.
Hey, wait, isn't she married to one of them?
Yeah, Mr.
Oh,
Fantastic.
Oh,
yeah.
no, man.
Well, y'all are side by side on the screen.
Would
So
would I be the one that's the rock because of my sunburn, or would it be the Human Torch?
you would be
Ooh,
human. You would be Human Torch.
Yeah.
All right, I get to be.
I'm
I'm Chris
and-
Evans.
I'm the Rock guy.
He's the Rock because he loves wrestling and the Rock.
Wait a minute.
There you go.
Wait a minute. And even in the crappy one, I still get to be Michael B. Jordan. I win.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that one. That's right.
Everyone does.
Wait, who
I think
does
I think
Miles
Forstick.
Teller? Does Miles Teller play Mr. Fantastic in the one?
Yep.
I just watched Whiplash last night. What are the odds?
That is a good movie.
Yeah, kids, get your parents' permission before watching. But yes, it is a very good movie.
I think someone could take what Eric said. He's the Rock, and then put my face over the Rock and his entrance music.
I love that. Sorry, we have a ton more super chats. We're going to be here all night, but we really appreciate your support. Alex Luff, thanks for the 5. I feel Kevin Harvick is NASCAR's Roman Reigns and Kyle Busch is Seth freaking Rollins. Both polarizing heels, except one is funny, the other is just moody. Danny, is that accurate?
Yeah, it's pretty accurate.
Okay.
Wait. Which one they say was Roman Reigns again?
Harvick.
Okay, yeah, you need to acknowledge Kevin Harvick.
I don't
You
get the
hear that
reference.
chat? You hear that chat? Acknowledge him.
Acknowledge.
Okay. He's like speaking in code over here. Edible Giraffe 59, thanks for the 5. I'd say yeehaw haw yee for Talladega in a couple weeks, but I'm worried someone's gonna yeehaw into the catch fence.
Oh,
Jeez.
I think they're gonna haul ye.
yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Sounds
Jasmine
going
Howard,
well.
thank you for the 5. Toyota isn't gonna something for KB for what he's done. They're paying for what he has left. Keeping him and delaying Ty Gibbs' development is worst case scenario. I think there's a word missing. But I think Jasmine is agreeing with some of us who said that, maybe it was a good idea to put Ty Gibbs in next year and start his development with Joe Gibbs Racing proper as soon as possible. But thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. 20 from Sound Guy ZN Clark. What is your opinion when Austin Dillon mentioned Kyle Busch and also wanting to help push himself forward? Austin Dillon helped. He brokered the first meeting between Busch and RCR and Richard Childress to make this deal happen. And then, he talked about, Kyle Busch might makes him better.
And also too, he also mentioned that Kyle Busch offered him to drive for his truck team back in like 2010, 2011-ish, around that time. So that's pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. David Bell, who we've had on before, I believe that is the father of one Christopher Bell. So we really appreciate you tuning in. Sent a couple of super chats. I read one earlier. Also sent one that says, thank you, fellas, for everything you do for the sport. Be sure to watch Christopher Bell's Micromania. Going to be fun September 21st through 24th.
Hey, no, thank you for watching.
Absolutely.
And thank you for watching NR Night as well.
And David, if you ever see us at the race, make sure you introduce yourself and say hey.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
absolutely. Would love to meet you. Totus against another fun super sticker. Appreciate that. Keeping the chat vibrant and popping. Another one from Sound Guy. Dale Jr. talked about going cup racing a few times with somebody who has a good sponsor by him that will maybe help Junior move up. And he helped. Okay, I think what he's trying to say, I'm trying to decipher YouTube comments. I believe he's trying to suggest that the Brandon Jones move to JRM could eventually lead to a Cup Series seat with JRM as well. Like maybe Brandon Jones and Dale Jr. go cup racing one day. Menard's Ream sponsorship, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe.
It's a good theory. I think it's early to be making bold theories like that, but a theory is just that.
They have the money if they want to.
I think they have some of the money. I don't know if they have
some
all
of it. Yeah,
but they got
some of it.
A good start. Speedway Anywhere, thanks for the 5. The ironic part is RCR actually had to negotiate a charter. RC has been in the biz longer than any current owner. That's the thing. He still has to negotiate the charter. I don't think he has one yet. I think if he's going to keep one for Reddick, he still has a lot of work to do, and that I think just adds a lot of questions. Bailey sent another super chat, said, how long until we see Custer announced back to the 41? It hasn't been made official yet, but he's coming back. Or it hasn't been made official yet that he's coming back.
I guess they haven't put out an official announcement, but it was kind of sort of said by someone.
Yeah, we know.
I think it's
he'll be back.
expected he'll be back. Napa Racing fan again said Iowa should have come back for trucks and Xfinity. Yeah, Iowa not on the schedule once again.
Hey, at least it's there for IndyCar. At least y'all got that. They pack it too for those races.
Derek sent a super chat earlier. Said need Dale Jr. in a KBM truck at North Wilkesboro. Ooh, interesting.
Ooh.
It'll be a Chevy at least.
He's never ran a truck series race before.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be crazy if he drove for Kyle Busch. That'd be crazy.
Crash the Hedgehog says, I think RCR is playing the long game, have at least 2 cars ready for future stars that go through the KBM and RCR Xfinity ladder. That's how I see it. So not sure. Are they going to open up a third team in Cup? For sure. We'll find out. We'll see. But definitely. Napa Racing fan again says the 2023 NASCAR schedule looks good, but the more important thing is the TV broadcast schedule. We need more races on Fox and NBC, less on FS1 USA. #noon.
I agree.
Let's see. Yeah, we don't know the start times or networks yet, but I feel like we've seen every year the last couple of years like one extra like broadcast channel added. Like the number of cable races has gone down slightly the last couple of years. We'll see if that trend continues. I'm not sure. Sergeant Soaz sent 2 said Darian tell E-Step to get involved in NR nights.
Yeah, you should come race sometime. You have to get in the lobbies fast.
I keep this wheel right here, but it's not plugged into anything, and I don't have an iRacing subscription. But one day.
Well, I would jump in them too, but you do have to get your iRacing class up. So
it has to be at least a 1500.
He can make an exception for me, right?
Well, it has to be at least a 1500. It's not.
It's sadly can't be done. I can't even get into him.
He can do it. I'll just quietly. I'll just be the pace car. Can I just drive the pace car?
You're driving the pace car.
Do what Danny does and join our league part-time next year and our Cup series. It'll be fun. It'll even be on our channels.
There you go.
I love it. Sounds good. I might finally have to cave and get a subscription. A couple from Arcane Draconis. So when, if ever, does Road America come back? It'll at least be 3 years, but
it'll be a while.
I remember Slapshoe said today on Twitter he looks forward to going to the next Cup Series race in 2075.
Yeah, the rate they're going.
Do y'all think Bowman and Byron are lifers at HMS?
Byron, yes. I don't know about Bowman.
That's kind of how I feel. But even Byron, I don't know. He's got a long career ahead. Things can change.
He signed an extension, though.
Yeah, but I'm 50, like he's not going anywhere for 5-10 years probably. But Kyle Busch, we thought was going to stay with Gibbs forever.
Yeah.
Personally, I think Bowman gets another extension. Might just be a couple years, but I don't know if he ends his career there.
New Azagazaga, I don't know how to say this name. I nailed it probably. If Bristol sucks, should we have 2 dirt dates?
No.
If Bristol sucks this weekend, fix the damn car.
Yeah, fix the cars. We're not doing that.
Hero Hope 5 sent 2. How will shifting affect Bristol? Return of the bottom? From what I've heard from drivers, they have no clue. They have no idea. Some drivers don't even think they're going to shift. Like, they don't know what's going to happen. It sounds like drivers are hoping and praying they don't have to shift because there's already so much going on.
A bottom, which means more bump than runs. Let's go.
And better opportunities for payback. You're not just going to push somebody into the wall that's already right there. Just saying.
Yeah.
Watch out, Ross, if Denny Hamlin's behind you.
A couple more from Arcane Draconis. The most likely picks to replace Truex in Cup.
John Hunter Nemechek, I think.
I feel like they might go after a big free agent around that time.
Might just be a big free agent too.
I don't know. Yeah, that's a tough guess. Next one, Busch drops the 1 in his number. Jones drops the 1 in his as well. Oh, Brandon Jones. Yeah, that's funny. That's a good point.
That's odd. That's cool.
18-8, 19-9. How does that happen? Another one from Sound Guy ZN Clark. Jesse Little just announced that he will not finish the season. He is going to assistant leave after Bristol. What's his role? What is he going to do?
I don't know if he wants to make it public, but
not public.
I'm not sure. Yeah, but I know what it is though.
Okay, well, yeah, we did find that out just before the stream started. Wishing Jesse Little the best. Hope whatever his future endeavors hold. He's still a young guy. I know he's got a bright future ahead. Adam Smith, thank you for the super chat. Do you think JGR might give Ty Gibbs the 54 in Cup?
I don't think so. They're not.
I'd rather.
They're not going to change the 18. That's their franchise.
One thing that Kyle Busch was saying that like the way JGR always operated, they didn't see like attaching a number to a driver. It's just these are the numbers. of the team. You hop into what works best.
Yeah. Now the 18, like when Joe Gibbs Racing first started and they had one car, it was the 18. No way they're ever going to get rid of that number. They shouldn't. It's tradition.
Anthony Bauer, thanks for the 5. I'm expecting to go to the Chicago race next season. Shall I expect to see the NWP hosts there?
You will not see me.
Yeah,
It'll be near
don't
my
think
parents.
I'm planning
So
to be
I
there,
might.
but I don't know for sure yet.
Yeah.
I might. It's a matter of what the 4th of July looks like with my family.
I'm 50-50. Street courses, you can't really see the whole thing. So we'll see.
I just want some deep dish. Any excuse to go get some from the sources makes me happy. Rosh
You know,
Crash
you got a
Stain.
free place to stay with us.
I love that. Thank you. Rosh Crash Stain, thank you to you as well. Kansas doesn't count. It wasn't his car, but he says it sarcastically. Mostly support for Bubba this week, which has been good to see.
Yeah. That's good.
He sent another one as well. Bowman was the only thing that kept Toyota going 1, 2, 3, 4. Hack my booty. He's calling out Bowman haters. There you go, Danny. There's a Bowman.
There you
defender.
go. There you go. The one out of like 10 Bowman haters.
The man gets it.
There you go.
Rowdy 18 Diecast says, I'm going to Atlanta in March. Glad it's 400 miles.
And it's at night too, right? Or at least one of the races are?
The summer one's night.
The
I'm not
summer
sure
one's
that
at
one
night.
is.
Oh, okay.
The spring one is 400.
That's what he says. I don't know if that's true.
Wait.
Was it
No.
That's
400?
what he said. He said the March one was 400. I thought it was 500.
Well, one of them is 400, I
Yeah,
guess.
the summer one's 400.
Okay.
The night one should be 400.
Are they not
'Cause
both
I remember-
400 this year? Maybe that's
No.
a change.
I
No.
think they should both be.
Hey, chat, help us out.
Well, me and Darian was there, and I can tell you that race was long.
Mhm.
I'd
Oh,
be
it-
okay
I-
with it being 400.
Yeah, I got I felt drowsy watching it on TV.
Dang, man, super speedway race. NASCAR's not
They're
gonna like that
they're saying
soundbite.
they're saying it's both. They're both 400. That's the right way to go.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I like that. That's good.
My chat is
I hope so.
wigging out. It's catching up. Tyler Dotson, thanks for the 2. Cries in Jags fan. Yeah, welcome to the AFC South, buddy boy.
We'll relay that to Emp when we see him.
Hey, the AFC South is still wide open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get a win.
Yeah, right now the leaders of the division have a tie.
See, ties are important, man.
I'm
That's
telling
why.
you. Freddie Martinez, thanks for the 10. You think 2311 regrets removing themselves from the drivers' playoff? Instead of gaining a Toyota car in Truex, they lost a playoff car that right now would be the only playoff car locked in with a win.
Well,
They didn't choose to do that. They were kind of forced to do that.
Yeah, Kurt, he couldn't get healthy in time, so that's
I,
why.
I wouldn't say like, do they regret it? But what else were they going to do?
Plus, they have the owners one.
Yeah, Austin
Yeah,
Dillon.
what-
Austin Dillon
what else-
knocked him out. Yeah.
What else were they going to do? Say, Kurt, suck it up and get in?
Yeah, there's not much else they could have done at that point.
And also Austin Dillon had won, so he would have been knocked out anyways, right? So
So unfortunately, it wouldn't have worked out. But Bubba winning, big for them to get at least the owners championship, which pays the most money to the team when it's all said and done. Thank you, Nick. Super happy KFB is back in the Chevy camp. It's true. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
Billy the Fourth. I feel you, Danny. I'm a Titans and Bowman fan as well. My best friend is a Vikings fan, and he was all smiles while I watched the Titans choke.
Hey, Jarrett, you found another buddy.
We're very much alike.
Shorty PJM sent another 5. My twin sister loves Joey and Bubba too. Joey's her favorite. We also really love, oh my God, she listed like 12 cars. Chastain, Cindric, Reddick, Elliott, Almirola, Blaney, Allmendinger, Hamlin, Byron, Haley, Kurt, or maybe that's Bubba. I don't know. Kurt, Bowman, and Suarez.
That was 13. I counted 13.
That's a lot of. Hey,
Well,
a lot of love to go around.
Hey, if one's not up there, you got a good chance of your driver winning.
There you go.
That's the way to watch on Sunday. You know, no chance of taking an L. You win every week. I think this is the last one. At long last, we've gone over 2.5 hours. Thank you all so much for bearing
Yeah,
with us.
thanks for the support, man.
We might as well keep it up. We'll hit 3 hours.
Yeah, at this point, Arcane Dracona sent 2. What are the odds of Atlanta losing a date? It's obviously not happening next year, but in the future, I don't think so. I think this super speedway is here to stay until it flops, if it ever flops.
Now, I was afraid that Kansas would lose a date based on the attendance, but no, they're back on the schedule. They have that little casino deal, so they're not going anywhere.
And thanks for the comment, Steel Tiger. This is just personal. It sent a nice comment about watching for 11 years. That's like as long as I've been on YouTube. That's ridiculous. So I appreciate the longtime support, Steel Tiger. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for, I guess, always being there. Holy crap, that's insane. But thank you so much. I think that's going to do it. I announced it before we got into the final Super Chat stage break. But once again, Next Wednesday, 1 week from tonight, September 21st, 8 p.m. Eastern time, will be on the Icebergs channel. Wait for them, Jarrett, so they know where to find you. Yes, click on his face and subscribe. No, that's not how you do it. His link is down in the description. But make sure you're subscribed so you do not miss next week's show. But that is going to do it. I do not have the Dale call with me, unfortunately. It's at the shop, getting cleaned, getting redone. Cost me an arm and a leg too. Goodness gracious, it's at the dealership. But thank you all so much for tuning in. Final thoughts, gentlemen?
Hey, this was a fun show. This was an awesome show. Is this the record for the longest podcast? No,
not
right?
even close.
Oh, not even.
Not
wait.
even close.
Wait. Yeah. All right. I know which one it is. Never mind. I know which one it is. But yeah, it's definitely in the record books though.
It was such a big week that we had to push the new Mustang talk to next week.
Yeah, that broke during this show. For people who I saw some people in the chat were saying that they revealed a new Mustang that's going to race in 2024.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that. But just first glance, I'm kind of worried it's going to be not aerodynamical the way it needs to be.
They'll NASCAR it a little. I don't know. They'll figure something out.
It'll look good, but will it race good? That's the question.
That is a good question and a great one to end it on. Give everyone something to think about as they fall asleep tonight. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. To all of you who sent super chats, a huge thank you. Your support means the world. On behalf of the rest of my co-hosts here, my name is Eric. Thanks for listening to the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. We'll see you again next week.
Goodbye.
Green. Holy moly. Great job! Yeah! This guy. Thank you! Wow! Hell yeah. Woo-hoo! Great job, man!
Now we got a crash. Cars spinning left and right.
Buddy, let her rip. Rain like hell, baby! Come on! Oh my god, guys! Yes! Yes! Unbelievable! You guys are the best!